Welcome. Tonight is a planning and zoning meeting. We have a general meeting tonight. We also have a public hearing. Today is Tuesday, January 28th. It's about 7 p.m. We are here in Town Hall in room 206. We have a pretty full agenda tonight, so we're going to get started right on it. We're going to go general meeting to public hearing to general meeting. Do you guys, or commissioners, do you guys mind? We might take some comments during the during a general meeting. Is that okay by you guys?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay. We typically don't take comments during general meeting, but because it's a special meeting.
We do have a full agenda. We could just keep them
It's
on
the same.
point.
I'm
Whoever's
with
making
you.
comments, just be mindful that we do have a full agenda.
You heard what she said. Okay?
You hear what she said.
Yes, I tried. Good point. First item on the agenda is the 2026 Plan of Conservation Development. We're going to have a discussion with Hardesty Hanover, our consultants, regarding the kickoff of the planned update process. In our packets or our documents, we got a document that I think these gentlemen go over with us. But welcome. Please just state your names so everybody knows who you are. We
Thank
can
you.
introduce ourselves too.
Thank you. My name is Neil Desai from H&H, which you might know as Hardesty Hanover. We're told to say H&H now, so
You are.
you'll hear that now. And this is my colleague Malcolm Simpson, also from H&H. He's here with me today, and he's going to be helping me take notes. This is also recorded, so that's helpful as well to us in case we miss anything, any comments from you. But welcome. Thank you so much for taking a look at what materials I sent to you. I'm looking forward to your comments. Winter's the best time to start planning for public engagement because things are cold, nothing's happening. The streets are pretty empty. Although there are a lot of people walking their dogs and at the coffee shop, especially this evening. But it's the right time to start sitting down and planning. What are we going to do for this? How are we going to engage the public in this plan of conservation update process? So the four things I wanted to go through are what we're the branding, what we're calling this project, and the logo. I didn't want to make that much of a project because the project is the POCD, not the logo of the project. But I still want to hear from you about the logo and the name of the project to confirm that's what we want to call this project and how we want to brand it. The schedule is really important. I'm proposing a February 7th launch where the website goes live. And I was gonna. After this next day, I was going to call the town communication director to kind of coordinate with her. But I wanted to first, make sure I get your comments and confirm that date's going to be workable for you all. The FAQ is important because it's not just the FAQ that goes on the website or something that we distribute to people, but it's going to be the language that we use to communicate about the POCD throughout the process. So we're going to make sure that we're using the same language and not changing the language around, but we're using the same language. As new questions come in, we can add questions if you have suggestions for other questions, or we can certainly incorporate those. And lastly, of course, is the website, which will be the main online portal that people will be using to see what this project is all about, provide input, and so that's what I really want to talk about today as we start unpacking the public engagement schedule. But I guess, do we want to talk about the branding first? That's the first item.
Well, let me have you introduce all the commissioners
Sure.
to you, because you're going to be working on us for the next 16 months.
Right,
So
right.
it might be important if you know us and our names and whatnot. You want to go first?
Jamie Zanuck. I'm the newest member.
Yeah.
George Riley, I hate to say the oldest member.
Most tenured.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Adam Balgash, the vice chair.
Adam's the vice chairman of the commission.
Amy Barsanti.
John Zagrodsky, ex officio.
And John's obviously the first select, but I think you met John once before, you both
Yes,
of
we
you
did.
guys. Stephen O'Banning, I'm the chairman of the commission. One thing I wanted to tell you is that I was on the commission in 2016 when we did the last one. I think it went well. I think at the end of the day we had a great product that came out. So I have some takeaways from that I would like to try to put into the process on this one. Everybody else, to my knowledge, I know for a fact was not on the commission then, so it's a little bit of a newer process for them. Jeremy's been here since you know, he was 15 years old. So he's seen 6 of these. Were you here in 2016?
I joined the town in 2016, so I was on the tail end of it.
Okay, so Fred's kind of a little bit new to this process, and I know you guys, Hardesty Hanover, H&H blended from a bunch of different firms recently, so we're glad to have you. We're glad that you accepted our proposal to document this. Going to your first item, let me just jump off on the branding. The only thing that I would suggest that you change is the word update to just 2026.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to update this thing all the time,
Mhm.
but just to give a context of what it is, if anybody has any comments relative to that, that's fine. I mean, I don't think last time we had a discussion on branding, but, you know.
Yeah, I think it'll
2025.
certainly help when Neil works with Marley Hayes, who's the town's communication person. Facebook, Instagram, newsletter, John has a newsletter, the town has a newsletter. So there'll be things are a lot different than they were 10 years ago.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Okay, that was the first thing. Then the other thing, I went through your document in particular. Do you have the old POCD with you at all? The only thing that I'm 90% sure is in this one, but I'm going to double check it, is I think we had a mission statement at the beginning and from the P&Z.
Board of Selectmen.
And the mission statement from the Board of Selectmen. So John is the first selectman, so you may want to have a meeting with them. And I forget did we have a mission statement from P&Z or just from the Board of Selectmen?
I think it was from the Board of Selectmen, overall big picture that was in the town plan.
Okay.
I'll pass that along to John,
Okay.
so he can get a sense.
And I don't know if the consultant wrote it or the Board of Selectmen wrote it, or it was a combination of both. I mean, we edit everything, I know that.
Right.
We didn't edit anything the Board of Selectmen did.
I'll get that up to both the commission and to John.
Right. And I think that's one of the threshold things that we probably want to do.
And that's a mission statement for the POCD or of their own operations?
I think it was for the POCD. We can look at what it says, but it was either a mission statement or a statement of purpose, something like that, of why we're doing this. I mean, yes, it's required by statute, but
Right.
there's a lot of things that are not required by statute that the town does anyway. I mean, I don't know if the 5-year plan that the Board of Finance does every now and again, if that's required, but that's something the town does.
It's not
But-
required.
Yeah, it's not required, it's not a state requirement. But those are one things I want to bring at the beginning. And then we can go through your items. Is there anything else that you guys want to add that you saw offhand really quick?
Not right now, I'd love to hear.
Can I ask one thing? Just as far as the branding was, does the town have a style guide or something with their fonts and just to make it easier for Marley so that she can match when she's doing social media?
Yeah, what I would do is just give her the general sense of the image that you want to use and let her work with the fonts to make it consistent, and she can help you with that.
That's fine. So you might do some back and forth with Marley.
Yeah, I'll give her a call tomorrow about all of this. Right.
Fantastic. Go ahead, you're up.
Thanks. Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, and that's, thanks for the intelligence from the 2016 POCD. That's very helpful for some continuity between the two plans. The schedule and the launch. So I'm going to scroll down. If you hope this is small on the screen, but I'm sure you have a copy of it if you are. But what I did is I took the original schedule of the tasks and I laid out the key events and milestones that over the course of the project, specifically public engagement milestones especially, and when those happen. And so you'll see I'm proposing the February 7th launch, and I think that's something which I think it can be changed. It's not going to be a problem, but I just want to put something down so we can talk about it. And when I speak with Marley, is her name, I'll also ask for her advice whether that's workable in terms of coordinating the town's communications with the website and all that. So,
What does launch mean?
launch is essentially so the website right now exists in the draft form, but it'll eventually be finalized. And the launch essentially is 5 different things. Number one, it's it's posted, well, my thinking was that it would be posted on the newsletter, the town's newsletter, which goes out on Fridays. That'd be the first thing. So then basically the website becomes public and people can go to that. That's the launch. And so the town's Facebook, potentially, Darien Times, getting in touch with them, and just getting the word out that this project exists, the website is alive. You can start engaging with the website, reading what's on there, contributing if you already have something to say. That's what the launch essentially is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're launching the website.
Yeah, launch of the website, and so the public knows about it. And so right now, the public, will know about it, that there's a draft that exists, but not the final version. So if we go through, really, so that's the really, for the next couple of weeks, that's really the most important objectives, is to get this all packaged up and ready and launched. And then once that happens, we can proceed to the next steps, which will involve coming up with a townwide survey. And I've plotted on this at least for the next couple of P&Z meetings. I think one on February, and this is of course depending on your agendas, and one in April. I'm projecting the potential opportunity to come again with you, sending in advance, for example, a draft survey, and we can talk about that and get your comments on that. I sent just recently. I sent Fred and Jeremy a table with all of the a worksheet, Excel worksheet with all the recommendations, the action items for the 2016 POCD, to get some information on what's been implemented, what's not been implemented, and so we have a record of that, and that's going to be very useful because this is an update. We want to really look back at what was accomplished, what wasn't accomplished, why, what carries over into what could carry over into the next plan. So that'll be another kind of deliverable that we send to you along with the survey in advance of the what I'm saying is the February 28th meeting, but whatever makes sense in terms of your agenda when we can come in and talk about that.
Hold on one second. In the old plan, those 2 pages, the action items, we call them something different than action items, but was that in the plan or was that a separate document?
There were many at the end of each chapter. So what Neil has done is given me chapter 1. Here's the recommendations. Chapter 2. So I have a giant spreadsheet. What Neil asked me is what was done, what was accomplished, what is underway, what wasn't accomplished, and if it wasn't accomplished, do you have a sense of why? Was it impossible? Was it out of our control? Was it something which, whatever?
Wasn't that a separate document?
There might have been, at the end of the past document, we talked about various agencies that would be responsible. So I remember a big chart of agencies: Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Connecticut DOT, whatever it might be, the RTM, and who those agencies are, because what our past consultant Glenn Chalder did was try to, for each recommendation, figure out who would be responsible. So, for example, if it's a blight ordinance, it might be the RTM. If it's a tree ordinance, maybe that's the If it's a work with DOT to get better traffic light coordination on Route 1, that would be DOT. So there would be a variety of agencies involved in various recommendations, and obviously a variety of reasons why something may have proceeded or not proceeded. And of course, one of the...
Remember, 2 of his action items were, and I don't know where it would be in the document, I thought it was at the end. One was the sign ordinance, and then the second was the zoning ordinance. So that's when we hired him again.
Yes.
At first we did the signs, and then we did the whole zoning code all over again.
Right. And of course...
But I thought that was, because I remember that was Susan Cameron's big thing. Like, we had this big 100-page document.
We want to understand,
What
as
do you
Neil
do?
said, but some of these may carry forward. It was a great idea then. Some things, of course, what happens in the interim is state statutes change, which require commissions to do other things, and opportunities come up which we would have, of course, never envisioned, like Great Island. We didn't envision the town buying Great Island many years ago.
But I bet you there's a handful of things on that other one from 10 years ago that we did not do.
That's true. I started looking at the list, and you're like, oh, I never, yeah.
We
So
forgot about that.
I'll be working with Neil, and that's really our role, is to give Neil background information, what we've done over the past 10 years, what progress we've made in certain areas, and...
Great. I'm going to get into that in workshop number 1 when he gets to that piece. Okay.
Yes, that'll be a great accounting of the accomplishments and what's left. And also, I think ultimately when we talk about the survey, We want to look back at the 2016 kind of, what they call principles and goals for each section, and
Great.
somehow, we haven't started writing the survey yet, but that's what we're thinking of. But, so ultimately, I want to make sure that we're having kind of very, very focused products for you to look at each meeting. So we can use our time productively. It helps us, your input helps us move forward.
Yep.
And that sort of thing. And so the schedule continues on up until about May is when we start putting in some placeholders. We're not sure exactly what date that's going to be, but probably that month. So we talk about when we might have the workshop, when we might do some sort of outreach at maybe a farmer's market or at somewhere else where we do something in public where we kind of hit people who aren't expecting it, and that sort of thing. So, we've plotted in some of those months and dates where they may occur, and as we move along, we'll start to get into more specifics when we, into more specific dates when we speak with you in the future about those.
Because workshop number 1, you have it titled Envisioning Darien, and the title doesn't really much matter, but what I would like to do is, what did we do in the past 10 years, and where we are today?
Yeah, those are placeholder.
Delice Donuts, we did not, I don't remember when we launched Corbin 2. It's actually, the Corbin district, what you know about, it's actually flipped. Corbin 2 came up, Corbin 1, which is built today, came up after Corbin 1 was approved.
Okay, interesting.
So they built phase 2 before they built phase 1.
Right.
We knew the one that the hole in the ground today was coming.
Yeah.
But I bet you back then, we didn't know phase 2 was coming, right? I don't even, we probably knew about, Palmer's we knew about and Federal we knew about because that Norton Heights overlay district was
In the works, it
20
was
years
already
old.
underway.
That was Fred Conzi, I mean, that's 15 years ago. But, I wanted to say, because I think this commission in the last 10 years has done a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to say what, amongst us, and it doesn't have, the plan's not a going back thing, it's a going forward thing. So I want to be able to tell everybody in some kind of form that, this is what we did and this is where we are today.
Right.
You have it down as envisioning Darien, that word just kind of, I'm not.
Those
a
are
big fan.
placeholders.
Right,
I just
I
wanted
know,
to put
I
something.
I get it,
I hear
I get
your
it.
point. Yeah.
We're not envisioning Darien.
No,
to be,
yeah, we already
all
know.
skyscrapers in 10
Right.
years.
Right. So even the same thing next one, workshop 2 is just planning. Whatever. It's just a placeholder.
I call
terms,
it next steps. What do we want to do?
But we will absolutely get it. When we get to that point, we want to, make sure. For example, I'm showing here in the schedule, potentially April 8th meeting. That's when we want to discuss in more detail. We want to send you. This is our idea for the workshop agenda. What happens, and you can comment on it. And we already have some suggestions for you already, so we know that now, as far as what kinds of things you'd like to.
Because like other towns, like a Greenwich or a Wilton or a New Canaan or a Westport, part of what their next steps were parking downtown and parallel parking and angled parking, widening sidewalks and doing all this. We're not doing any of that.
Right.
We can because we're on the post road.
Right. Right.
Westport can, New Canaan can, Greenwich can. Yeah, that's not us. So when you're envisioning what you're going to change in town, Wilton is building an entire new downtown. They're starting from scratch. It's called Wilton Center.
Yeah.
That's what we're not doing. Okay.
Thanks. So any other questions about the schedule so far? Anything? Okay.
Is the workshop with public input, or is that just a P&Z meeting?
No, the workshop would be the public event.
That's what okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna plan on probably having that at like the library, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we will be talking about that for sure. What are the best venues
Okay.
for that
Because
workshop?
if that's the only one in the beginning, we don't want to have that at like a coffee shop. Or like
No.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, so-
you know what I mean? I know you have the pop-up event, which I think
Right.
is what that's more
Yes,
geared
that's right.
towards. But I'm just not sure what the difference between workshop 1 and a pop-up event would be.
So a pop-up event would be really it's reaching people where they already are. So not inviting them to this pop-up event. We're going to be at a place where there's people already there, whether it's, like I said.
To what end, since the survey's already been done?
Well, we want to get more input because there's people who still might not even heard about it. The
'Cause we
process.
talked
You
about
never
that.
know.
Yeah.
We talked about that with one of the, and I forget who we talked about, is, like, there's a big thing on Memorial Day. It's the, it's the food fair
Uh-huh.
on Memorial Day weekend. And there's all kinds of booths. You can buy a hot dog, you can play games, you face paint. You go meet the consultants and talk about the town plan and conservation development. You'll see a bazillion people there.
Yeah, that's great because
The average age is 10.
yeah. Well, I mean, we certainly, get youth input too, but they don't want to know what they don't. We don't talk about plan of conservation with them. We just talk about what they like about the town and that sort of thing. But yeah, that type of event where it attracts a lot of people, we were there, and like I said, the thing that I like about it is that it kind of hits people when they're not expecting it. It gets a lot of people that didn't know about it still somehow, or they aren't involved usually, and here's their chance to talk to somebody and give some input. So it's kind of, it just kind of rounds out things. So rather than having, not just having a workshop where people, who want to come have the time to come, but also trying to get people who may not be usually come to workshops.
But just so you know, the parade's a Saturday, or is it Sunday or Monday? Is it on? Is it on?
For what?
The more they.
Memorial Day.
Parade's on.
It's on Monday?
Memorial Day.
It's gonna be on Monday.
Yeah.
Always on Monday.
So if you want to come, you're working
It's a
on
great,
it.
yeah, that's a great option. We talk about farmers markets. but
To
we-
that microphone.
Yeah, I need your name for the record,
Yes.
please.
My name is Malcolm Simpson with H&H. We talk about street fairs. We talk about farmers markets.
Right.
I mean, that's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I mean, just
so.
sitting in Cafe Nero was chock full of people. Just the thought we had is that we can just go here and set up a table and just talk with people, because that's what they're there to doing work and say. But those are just things we're throwing out.
Yep.
We'll definitely brainstorm more about what event that would be, where that would be, and there's also these we show here committee meetings and focus groups. A focus group doesn't have to be a formal focus group. It could be like another type of event, like a pop-up event, another one, or it can be something that is more structured, where we feel like we haven't got input from, I don't know, business owners or something, and we need to hear more from them. We'll have that as part of the package of what we do to reach
And
out.
you can go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, they got it, meet once a month, I believe.
In terms of the schedule, if I may, I'm very interested in ensuring that you coordinate with the Great Island consultants who are very busy already. I really want to encourage you to put a date on your schedule for a meeting with them,
Okay.
maybe in April or later after we've done our survey. I believe they've done a survey.
Right.
And I know they have a lot of input about what town folk, they've done three of them.
Yeah, too.
Okay, well, they've got a lot of input, and I suspect that can help. I think, in terms of planning, I don't know, the town pool is always an interesting issue, so I don't know whether there's a movement afoot to put that at Great Island, but you may hear that there is a movement afoot for a town pool someplace.
Right.
I don't know. That kind of input, I think, is what they're gathering, and a lot of other information. And I want to make sure that doesn't get lost in the sauce as you are putting together the overall town plan. I really think that we're putting big investments in both of these projects just at this stage. So I encourage you to do that. I'm sure you need willingness on the other side too, but I don't know why there wouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, no, thank you for emphasizing that, because, right, they've already done surveys. Those surveys can bring out sentiments that don't necessarily, they could apply to Grand Island, but they could also apply to other parts of town as well. Like
Exactly.
you said, town pool.
Well,
So,
to that end,
They're gonna do another survey, and there's actually gonna be a workshop, at least one, maybe two this spring, in the run-up to the development of the master plan for Great Island, and so piggybacking on some of that for stuff that you guys are doing might be more efficient.
But I think we want to make it clear in our mission statement that this is not just Great Island's development, because my hunch is that you're gonna get a lot of the more motivated Great Island people just hammering this with the exact same, I want this on Great Island, I don't want this, I don't want this, like the same exact points. So we need to make it, I think in our mission statement, and certainly when you're drafting the survey, you know, maybe looking at the Great Island surveys will help to, so those are questions we don't necessarily need to ask, because we want to focus more on the development of the town as a whole, as opposed to what everybody's interested in, which is
Right.
Great Island.
Right.
And in fact, that could be a good question for the FAQ to say specifically, you know, how does this relate to Great Island?
Yeah.
Vision
But
plan?
let me step back a second. The other thing that's gonna happen is that the Parks and Rec Department, it's required they have to do a master plan every 10 years?
The last one was 2018. In fact,
Yeah.
Neil, I think, we gave Neil a copy, and I think he's going to link to it on the website.
Okay.
Um,
Because we had a meeting of the Operations and Planning Council last week, and yours is gonna end, this is gonna end, and theirs is gonna start. So we want that to coordinate too, because, I mean, in terms of projects, just what these two gentlemen just said is, we're paying for this one, a study, we're paying for this study, and then we're gonna pay for another study. We don't need to say the same thing, but
Right.
everyone wants to piggyback on off of each other.
Okay,
So you gotta meet with the Parks and Rec people, or go to one of
Sure.
their meetings.
okay.
I mean, all these people, you're gonna meet all these people.
Yeah.
And they're very important roles in town.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the commissions, when I was looking at the list, that, you know, I wanted to,
Because Great Island is not under Parks and Rec.
right, it's a
Great
separate
Island's on
steering
the board
committee or
side.
something like that, I believe.
You got it.
Town property is just not a park.
Got it.
It either is
Yeah.
Highland Farms.
Correct.
Okay?
All right.
You're doing good. Keep going.
Thanks. So, the draft FAQ, so, any questions, comments, additions,
That's what this
changes
is.
on this one? Like, as I mentioned before, it's just, we want to be able to use consistent language throughout the process, and so this kind of is a way, not only of putting these right on the website and telling people, but it's something we can draw upon. You know, when Darien Times writes about it, they can pull language from here, so that it's saying the same things that we're saying about the process. So, I don't know how you read this, whether some of you might, you know, whether you just had some general changes or what, but I'm curious to hear if you have anything.
I have some specific changes, but I'm gonna let other people go first. You wanna go first at all, Amy? Is there anything special that jumped out at you?
Not yet.
Okay. Want to pass?
Pass it, yeah.
Pass. Adam?
I would just say along the same lines of, you know, the town plan of conservation development 2026,
Mhm.
instead of bullet point 2 saying like, why is it being updated? Maybe just like, why is the town going through this process, or something like that, because we don't want to give the impression we're just taking a document, redlining a couple paragraphs to refresh it and then sending it out. You know, we're
Right.
really thinking about this differently, because there has been so much development in town. We're now thinking about, okay, managing that development, as opposed to the 2016 one, which was more about how can we develop the town a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point, because, right, the way it's stated right now, it's just like, oh, we're just doing it because we have to.
Right, and it's we have to do it, but I think it's
Right, there's
it's
more
an-
than just that.
I think it's important now, just because there's been so many changes throughout town. What does the next 10 years look like? Because it's drastically different. You know, a sleepy town like Ridgefield, 10 years later, it might just be an update. We're not doing much development, not much
Right.
is happening. It's a sleepy town. We're not doing anything. Here's the update. You know, but this is we're in a totally different ballgame from 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, Richford's a great example. And there's another town that's up in Fairfield County, the one that's getting whole development they created downtown. George, anything before I go?
Well, back on my favorite topic, I guess, of coordinating with the Great Island, but also Park and Rec, I think, is at number 2. What other topics? Number 4, sorry. Somewhere in there, you may want to indicate that you are aware of the Great Island master plan and
Right.
the upcoming Park and Rec plan, and that you hope to interface with those people, build in topics that may come up, and be sure not to duplicate, something like that. But it seems to me that might be good to highlight specifically in that number 4.
Thanks, yeah.
Anything else, Tracy?
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Jamie?
Just have a quick one. At what point will we have a timeline for when you'll be meeting with other town commissions, committees that might even have input on the survey questions?
It's, well, for now, I put it in the schedule, in May and June. But, right, if there's something that we, if there's intelligence that we need to get from a committee that was gonna be really important, so we'll take your sessions. Like, did you say specifically the Parks and Rec Commission is somebody we should get in touch with sooner rather than later?
Just
think
you
you just
guys.
mentioned-
I would just go to the board of selectmen.
The one thing that I have is in point number 1, when you first start off, it's saying, actually number 2, what is the plan and why is the plan being updated? One of the things that I think it's important for residents to understand is that this is the document that we consult as a planning and zoning commission. When issues are brought before us, it's our litmus test to say, is this consistent with the development of what our residents and our officials believe to be the development of Darien's future? And I think that's a really important thing that we need to engage, we'll grab people to engage them, to say, now's the time.
Right,
Tell us what you want.
okay, thank you.
May I just embellish real quickly that also works on the other side from the applicants. They will also often quote the
Right.
POCD to us
That's
Yep.
right.
and highlight how it fits.
Yep.
Like, if you come up with a recommendation that we should raise all buildings to 7 stories in town, I can guarantee you Dulles limits it's getting crossed out.
Right, all right.
Because that could be, I think in the old plan, we were really 2 stories, and then it went to 3. But that's something that we looked at.
Yeah, one other thing, just to give people a sense for just what the content is of one of these, instead of just the shorter description that you have in 3, which is what state's required, and then in 4, you might just list out the table of contents from the 2016 plan. It says these were all the different topics that were covered in the plan, just to give people a sense of the kinds of topics that we definitely want to address in this plan. There may be more or less, but it would just give them some suggestions as to, oh, well, I see it covered this last time. I want to have some input on that, and they may not have known to ask that without actually seeing the table of contents.
Right, I like that. It's more direct. I mean, this is what we're going to be talking about. This is the list.
And some of the things in the old plan we may not talk about,
So it's a starting point.
yeah, it may come out and say, who cares? What did I have? Jamie, did you go? Okay, you're good. What up top where it says long-term vision, I said long-term 10-year vision.
Okay.
I mean, someday it's gonna be like the Jetsons and we're gonna have flying cabs around town. We're
Yeah.
not going that far out.
Right, we'll bookend it, 10-year vision.
Yeah, something like that.
But what we plan could well go well beyond that.
Agreed. And
Well, in
then,
10 years, you'll be able to comment, from that position, exactly how it turned out.
right, exactly, that's why we want to go back to see where we were. In paragraph 3, I just wrote next to bullet number 3, recommendation that made reasonable considerations for restoration protection of ecosystem. That's only particular to us. But prior to that, I would add something about the long-term infrastructure for town. Because it comes up later in your document here. We have to talk about bridges and tunnels in town. There's one bridge in particular, or I don't know if we call it a bridge or a tunnel, but it goes under the railroad tracks. That's gonna get approved sometime.
The question is that in 3, which is specifically what the state requirements are, or is it in 4 and stuff that we need to address?
To my knowledge, if you want to fix that bridge I'm talking about, which is at
You
Leroy,
have to put it in.
it's gotta be in 2 plans in a row.
Okay.
And same with, I remember that from Glenn.
Well, I know Glenn said, sometimes when, and I know John and I just got an email today from the Westcott saying, hey, as the state builds up its plans, if there's things you want to, that are already in your plan, that you can start lining it up. So it is helpful to get a little momentum through more than one plan, as we talk about change, what changes do we, again, Darien's got numerous state highways that go through it.
Great.
But as you said, bridges,
I think it was
road widenings, things like that.
I think it had to do with funding, and I remember in particular, we put in the culvert that goes under, that connects Old Kings Highway North, Old Kings Highway South. That thing clogged up under a major flood this year. Somehow it backed up and it flooded on both sides. If we ever wanted to get that thing replaced, and I think that the trigger, what Glenn was talking about, if we ever want to get state funding, that's got to be in the plan. So I don't know what page it's on.
Right.
You
I
know,
don't know
but
yet either.
You got to be able to point to something that was in the plan.
Stephen, is the next state POCD finalized?
I'm sorry?
The state plan, usually they run a little behind schedule because it needs so many state legislators, I believe, to vote on it. They are just in the process of adopting the state plan, I think, over the next couple months.
I thought I
So
read that.
very timely
Interesting.
that we'll track that down once it's adopted.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking your last, in the paragraph, it says, state will require a list of topics in POD must address, such as improvements to public facilities, plan improvement information. That's what I'm talking about, like the bridges and tunnels. Then the next, I kept going down a little bit, the number 4, said protection of conceptual plans and illustrations in the POCD. We did that in the last 10 one, and the chairman at the time almost had a heart attack,
Okay.
and it got pulled out.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because in that document was a conceptual plan of parking garages all over downtown, including the Center Street lot,
Yeah.
and that landed up on the editor's floor. It was never to be seen after the second meeting. So that's the kind of stuff that don't go too conceptual. What else? And I don't mean to be picky on you, but the consultant, he wrote that ultimately H&H will prepare the draft and final POCD. That's actually not true. Your H&H will prepare the draft and finals for the P&Z. We're the author. You're not the author.
Understood.
You're kind of like a lawyer that drafts a contract.
Right.
You're not signing it, we're signing it. You know, so it's our plan, it's not H&H.
Right, it's not H&H's plan, yeah. Thank you.
The next one down, the body has the authority to draft, review, and adopt. You just wrote, you said the town, it's ultimately, P&Z has the authority to review and adopt. We're drafting it. You're not, you're drafting at our instruction.
Got it.
What else? And then you go into the other stuff is out of the state statutes. And then if you go, and this is just stuff to think about, and I think we put it in the last one. I'm looking at the second page of the state requirements. It says multi-purpose trails and walkings. That we tried doing a bike trail last time, and now there is a plan. So there's a soft plan for a bike trail to connect New Canaan and Greenwich. That's something that, you know, we would, in my opinion, we would love to plan for Darien, where that thing could go. I have the foggiest idea. But in towns like Ridgefield and Upper Norwalk and all that stuff, you have those old right-of-ways that are under high-tension power lines. You also have old railroad tracks. You have old Super 7 was supposed to go through. Those things in Ridgefield and in Wilton, those are being converted to bike trails. We don't have those here. There's no.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people come in and see me about that for exactly kind of what they're planning. It's going to be very hard to get that to route through town in a practical way. I mean, we could try it, but I don't see where it would go.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they're talking about. And you know, we have walking trails in a lot of our parks. Some of them are envisioned, some of them are not. But maybe you can put a bike trail inside a woodland park or something like that, where kids can, in the park that's behind my house, it says no bikes allowed. When COVID hit, every single kid was on their bike riding through that thing.
Yeah.
But that's not your document.
So, yeah, so this summary is really, it's if anybody, we're not gonna feature it because it's it's if somebody wants to link on it, wants more details, they can click on it. So that's why that's really there.
Yeah, the stuff that jumps out to me is the new stuff they added in yellow and the stuff that they took out.
Yeah.
Because some of those things we were talking about, and they come up in the legislative session in the state capitol. That's all the stuff that's on page 3. It's how they pretty much permit home sharing zones for 4 persons. And to be honest with you, that disability housing thing that's in here, that's because of the town of Darien. We're the first ones in the state of Connecticut that built one of those. I must be not good. And then the last thing I would caution, let's get this thing finished before July 1st. We'll have to get into the sewers.
Wait,
I'm sorry,
repeat what you just said?
It says, no, actually, we are gonna have to do that. I thought that was 2016. We have to do that then. Any municipality construct plan for adoption after July 1st, 2015, you have to do the following. Okay.
Right, we'll be putting Neil in touch with Ed Gentile of Sewer Services, sit down with him, talk about some of the capital items forthcoming, and because he's in charge of sanitary sewer and also storm sewer,
Right.
drainage in town.
Because we paid, I don't know how many millions of dollars to do a lot of sewer systems or drainage system in select neighborhoods in town. There's other that came up on a wish list, including one over here, but to save 2 houses, it was like millions of dollars or something like that. I don't think that ever
Right,
gets.
right. There's one in the drawing board now, stormwater in the Forge, Coach Lamp, Salt Box.
Right, and what's the one that's over by Holmes Avenue that was redone?
Was it, oh, it was,
Yeah, it's off of Middlesex Road, it goes
Yeah.
down, the guy used to, it was always in the front page of the paper. They just did it, it's off of, it's between West Avenue.
Devon,
Yes, that's it.
that's one of the streets. Yep.
Some of that stuff
That was done a couple years
Okay.
ago.
So that's gonna be in this, so you gotta meet with all those guys.
That's Public Works, right, Jay?
Yep.
Public Works and
Public Works.
Yeah, and the sewer commission, right?
Yep, certainly the sewer commission, yep.
Then the last item, and I don't know if Jeremy told you about this, in your timeline, it says the draft POCD is gonna come to us in February of 2016,
26.
2026, sorry. The way it worked last time, which I thought was actually brilliant, is the consultant came in, I would say once a month, right? And he went section by section. So we reviewed 6 pages. And they said, okay, this is the section on those 6 pages.
yeah.
We did the 6 pages, got it. We made all of our corrections and wordsmithing and all that good stuff, and then we never saw it again. But if you grabbed all 16 of those chapters
Right.
and you compared it to the draft we got at the end, my changing of the word that was, they to them was in the new one. And we never saw it again. So the last thing I want you to do is give me the draft POCD on a Thursday night and say, we're going over this on Tuesday morning.
Right.
And the thing's, 200 pages.
Right.
Because
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I don't know how you've done your plans in advance, but that's how ours was done the last go around.
I've never done a chapter by chapter. I mean, that's a good way to just have a small, concise
Yeah.
thing people review.
Because he did chapter by chapter, and he had 3 holes in it, and it went chapter 1, chapter 8, chapter 6, chapter 3. He bounced around, but if I have all these chapters, he had holes in them. You can put them in a binder, and when the eventual plan came out, which is the one you have now, it's all dead on. It was already there.
Interesting. Yeah, so well, let's think about something like that as we.
I would just have you guys come into our meetings for a half an hour, 45 minutes more often than just twice, and do it. And I would also have you guys come back to us before the April workshop. Number one, because we talked about a couple things tonight, and there might be other ideas that come up.
Yeah.
We're really just meeting you, and you're really just meeting us.
Right, and so, I mean, I did put some dates down for February 28th, April 11th, for potential, where you can have us in the agenda if there's time. And as I said, we'll have specific things to talk about, so, and get feedback from.
Yeah, I would rather do 10 half-hour meetings with you guys than 1 4-hour meeting, that's for sure. Okay, and I don't know if that's how you plan your pricing or whatnot in the contract, but that's it. Anybody have any other questions for Neil and Malcolm?
Not at this time.
Okay. Malcolm, is there anything you wanted to add? Are you good? Because I want to see if any of the public, there's a bunch of sports fans here that want to talk.
Well, we haven't covered the website yet. It's the last item. Do you want to
go
cover
ahead.
that first?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then maybe people. So this is the draft website. Again, we're going to be changes in terms of the the name of the project, and we'll adjust the logo on that. But ultimately, it's a website. I wanted to give people a way to interact right away with us, and so there's a 10-second survey here. What's one thing what's one thing that would make life in Darien better for you or family? And that's just something they can do as a short thing and submit it. And we can collect those and eventually, collect all that data and see what happens. But of course, there'll be other things too that we're doing besides that. That's just one kind of really low-hanging fruit for people. There's a page, the FAQ page. This is where the text that we just gave you with changes that'll be made based on your comments will go. There's a page on the 2016 POCD. People can have the option of clicking here. Maybe it's worth actually showing the table of contents too, also as an image, just kind of how the selectman was saying for the FAQ, just so people could see what the contents of the plan was. So it just kind of summarizes really briefly the plan document. They'll have it, we're going to take some of the content eventually, the existing goals and such, and people will be able to evaluate them, whether it's through the survey or whatnot. So this won't be the only exposure they have to the 2016 POCD on this website. We'll have a kind of a shortened graphic schedule here on this page that just highlights the milestones. Something, sometimes you see those nice graphics that that are just easy to read, and it just goes through the 5 steps of getting to the POCD and when the public events will be. So the subscribe page, what I've done is, so this is the opening message that, at least this is just the draft of the opening message that is presented to people here when this website is launched. And what people can do is subscribe, and if they subscribe, this actually will move down, and there'll be something more updated over here. And anytime there's a new update on this part of the site, people will receive an email message. So they don't have to go to the site, they'll just get an email message. So the site has been updated, take a look, that sort of thing. So we just kind of wanted to make it as easy as possible to let people know that there's something going on. And each time that happens, if it's an event, we'll coordinate with the town in terms of getting the word out through other means as well. And so it's here's the other town plans and studies. The Great Island Vision Plan website is linked to that. The other documents from up until 2016. So it's it's fairly simple. The contact us form is critical, because this is how people can interact with us, and there's some things we need to work out with Jeremy and Fred about, like, who responds to them if they need a response, how much time should we say, like, do we, we'll respond if your question requires a response, please give us 1 or 2 business days. There's potentially, we can have, if people want to, I've had this many times in other towns, people want to write something, they'll email a letter. They can, we can set this up so that people can upload something and send it to us if they'd like to do it that way rather than use a comment form. This is, we want to give people, number one, before the survey comes out, we want to give people the opportunity to learn about the project. And also, I hear from Jeremy that people want to contribute right now with comments, and so the site gives them the opportunity to do that if they want to do that now. So that's the website. Happy to take any comments on it.
I have 3 questions.
Sure.
The 10-second survey,
Yeah.
how do you stop people from saying lower my taxes or make my schools bigger?
We
I
can't.
mean, that's the biggest thing.
Right. Yeah, it could be traffic. It could be, we don't know. I mean,
The
it
traffic
could be,
is under us,
Yeah.
but lower my taxes.
Yeah.
got nothing
Right.
to do.
That's a good point. You'll get things that might be out of the purview of the POCD.
I want Spanish in the classrooms. That came up 11 years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
That's not another do with this.
no, you have a point. You have a good point there, right? In terms of getting things which aren't, the POCD is not going to, govern or have recommendations for.
And then the second item
Yeah.
is, how do you know where these people live? The last thing I want is someone from Brooklyn
Right.
telling me what to do. No offense to guys from Long Island.
Right. For
Because
this
it's supposed to be
10-second
good,
survey, you can't. yeah, you're right, you can't. I mean, it tracks the IP addresses and stuff, but you can't, if you go the extra mile, you can find out where they are, but, right, essentially, you don't know. I mean, I've always had, anytime I've done a survey, you know, a question, a fair question that people ask, whether it's a formal survey or something like this, is, you know, how do you know people aren't gaming the system? You know,
That's
that
what
sort
I
of
care
thing,
about. There's a
and
guy
having
that, when we
residents.
did 7-Eleven, the guy that wanted 7-Eleven in town lived in Norwalk.
Yeah, yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, so, I mean, but in reality, you know, you can go through, you know, if you see duplicate IP addresses, or, because, you know, usually when you do a survey, it's only one IP address per survey entry, so you're, at least people aren't, you know, plugging in 5 entries. So, essentially, to get down to your point, no, there's nothing I can do in this one, the way it's designed, to control responses that are out of the realm of POCD. So, you know.
Well, so just, I mean, it kind of depends on how you're going to use the survey results. If
Right,
you're
exactly.
using it to measure the number of people who said they wanted a pool, I think that's a mistake, because you're not collecting demographics, you don't know where they're from, all that.
Right.
If you're just using it as a dumping ground, you're going to curate the comments that come in, and your objective is to share with the board or the commission particularly creative ideas, or how that's an interesting suggestion.
Yeah.
You know, sure, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it comes from. If it was interesting, we might think about it and then say throw it in a survey to really get people to react to
Yeah.
it. But beyond that, as long as you're not going to use it for anything more than that, then it doesn't matter.
It would be
Or
difficult
doesn't
to
matter what
analyze data that was.
you- Just don't use it as a barometer for what people think.
I would-
Right.
I would chime into that for the 10-second survey, but also for the pop-up, right?
Yeah.
In the interest of reaching people who would not normally interact with this process,
There you go.
that one of the best things to come out of it is the idea that no one in this room thought of, whatever that is.
Which
And if it's a
might-
good idea, and we all agree it's a good idea, it doesn't really matter where it came from,
Unless
right?
it's from Brooklyn.
Unless it's from Norwalk, exactly.
Yeah.
Or Long Island.
What about Queens?
My niece lives in Brooklyn.
You said it, come on.
Long Island's different.
I
Is it
will
her
just
birthday?
note, as a realtor, we have many people coming from Brooklyn who like Darien, so just.
So, exactly.
FYI.
That's why they want to change it. That's why they're leaving Brooklyn to come to Darien. It's great the way it is.
Carry on.
So yeah, there's no, you're right, I mean, I mean,
Queens.
I think the key thing is, right, what are you gonna do with that data that you get? I think really it's the townwide survey, that's really the more thing that we're really looking at more deeply. This is really
Quick
just like,
interaction, clever suggestions, that's
yeah.
it.
Okay, that's fine.
Public comment?
Anything else, Neil?
That's it, just if there are any other questions or comments about the website or any other of the materials that I share with you.
I'd get rid of that black banner at the top, and I'm not sure what the search functionality is, because nobody's gonna use that, but make your life easier.
I think I can get rid of the top black banner. The search function, yeah, I think
Which is a WordPress
when you start
default.
when you start piling up entries, you know, it may be useful, but
It's up to you.
yeah, I don't think the average person's going to look for the search function, use the search function, you know, as Google.
Did
So
the Great Island website have a DarienCT.gov
Yes.
address? Because the WordPress address.
oh right, this is just a temporary
It's gonna be
address.
published to the Darien site.
Okay, so it'll have a .gov
Yeah.
address like.
Right, this is a temporary address, and I was going to coordinate with, because I noticed that the Great Vision had greatvision.darien.ct.gov, and I was like, oh, how'd that happen? I would like to do that too for this
Yeah.
process, so, yeah,
Okay.
we'll continue.
We're going to keep working on that.
And I assume
That's
we'll
fine.
we'll put a link to this from the P&Z sub-page
P&Z
on the
page
town
and
site
all
too,
that,
of
yeah.
course, right?
Once
Maybe
this kind of gets off the
big
ground.
letters right at the top so people can see
Yep.
it and not buried at the bottom.
Yep.
Okay. We want to move on because it's already 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I do want to open it. Does anybody in the public would like to speak to this document or what we're doing tonight? Please, come on up. Just state your name and your affiliation for the record. Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to speak. I wasn't prepared to actually share comments, but my name is Elizabeth Mathis. I am the Executive Director of the Darien Land Trust. We preserve and protect over 230 acres here in town of open green space. It's multiple ecosystems from wetlands to upland meadows to forests. I didn't hear much conversation about conservation. We heard a lot about development this evening. And just for history and for the record, back in 2016, our executive director played an integral role in shaping the POCD in 2016. I've actually uncovered numerous letters between Shirley Nichols and Mr. Ginsburg. So they were really involved as a participant in shaping this document. So I look forward to hopefully having that opportunity with you all and with you as well. So any questions that you have about conservation, we are a leading voice in that area, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
It's called the Town Plan of Conservation is the first word.
Correct. I was going to point that out, but
Development was added
I was
after
going to
the
lead
fact.
with that. But no, it's really, we have an obligation to really find a way to put conservation at the forward part of this conversation, because the 230 acres that we do have under our protection shape the look and feel of Darien, and that's something that we need to protect moving forward. And
I live back up to Olson Woods where the kids ride their bikes.
Yes, no bikes, and that's for a reason.
It's not my bike.
No.
One thing my kid didn't do.
And
Anybody
I look
else?
forward to talking to you more about Olson Woods development.
Great, thanks. He didn't ride his bike. We don't have a bike, I don't think.
Did break into the beach though.
Yes, he did.
Hello, I'm Juliet Kane, and I'm
Welcome.
an advisor to the Land Trust Stewardship Advisor. And I don't have much more to say than what Elizabeth already said, but I did want to point out it is the plan of conservation and development. And I do understand also that it's the responsibility of planning and zoning. And I also represent a number of other organisations, but I'm part of a number of conservation organisations in town, and I do think in looking back at 2016, a lot of the action steps that weren't implemented relate very much to conservation themed concepts, and so I didn't hear much about how conservation ideas were going to be incorporated. I did see public comment and some kind of ad hoc pop-ups, which maybe conservation related, may not be. So I would really just like to see a more concerted effort at addressing conservation issues, particularly ones that weren't adapted. And I am aware that the Planning and Zoning Commission does have the right to set up a subcommittee of interested people, so that would be something else that would be very helpful if we could have some volunteers have a more active role to assist more than anything else, but just to add that voice to the mix.
Yeah, we could think about that, but we didn't have it the last 20
No, I know you
years.
didn't, no. It was just something
That's our purview, not
No,
his.
absolutely. It is your purview. It was just something that I thought it may help just give, more voice, more public voice. We can help get information from our members and that sort of thing, just to give you more input. Thank you very much for letting us speak.
Thank you. Everybody else good? Fantastic. All right, Neil. You hear what some of the public said. Just make sure it's a conservation and not just.
Right, thank you. And I guess the last question I have is in terms of, any changes I have, based on what we've spoken about here, is this something I should give to Jeremy and Fred to kind of give the final okay on? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We're meeting, when are we meeting again?
We're going to have Neil back probably the fourth Tuesday in February 25th, I believe.
Yeah, I think I had 28th down, but I could be the wrong
I think
date.
it's the
Well,
Tuesday.
why don't we do this? If anything else pops up, you're launching on the 7th, right? We're meeting on the 4th, so if there's anything between
Yeah,
that
next
we
week.
want,
We can look
next
at
week, we
whatever
can talk
we
about it
want.
next week. Anything that changes between now and the 4th, or now and the 3rd, get it back to us, and if we have any comments on the 4th, we'll give you the comments on the 4th, you can sort of launch on the 7th.
Oh,
We don't
so-
want to slow you down at all.
So the 4th, you have another meeting, okay, all right.
Yeah.
We meet all the time.
Okay,
More meetings than anybody else in town. All right?
okay,
You guys cool? Any other questions?
thank you.
All right, let's move on. Thanks for coming, John. You're welcome to stay if you want to, but I really wanted you for that. Thank you, sir.
Stick around.
Thanks, John.
Only got a couple hours.
I get to leave early too.
I thought we put that at the end. Yeah, right at the front.
I saw your state of the town.
Right, now we're gonna go into the public hearing. The first item on the agenda is coastal site plan review number 349A is an Apple floodstone prevention application number 452, also known as PL 24-171. It is 90 Pear Tree Point Homeowners Association LLC at 0 Pear Tree Point Road. It's a proposal to construct and install a shared community dock consisting of a fixed ramp, pier, and platform, and perform related site development activities within regulated areas, including the construction of retaining walls. The 0.041 plus minus acres subject property is located on the west side of Pear Tree Point Road, approximately 825 feet north of its intersection with Crane Road, and is shown as Assessor's Map number 60 as the dock lot and in the location and located in the R1 zone. Now, this is the 4-lot subdivision where the old Pear Tree Point School was, I don't know, 5 years ago, something like that? Yep. It was, well, just fast forward, they subdivided into 4 lots, and there's a lot that's on the water. And we approved a dock to go there. At one point in time, it was gonna be 4 separate lots.
It is 4 separate lots. The subdivision was filed in the land records.
So it is 4 separate lots.
One of the houses was constructed. It's facing Long Neck Point Road.
Okay.
And then the other 3 lots are vacant. Another one on Long Neck, and then 2 on Pear Tree. But as you mentioned, the dock lot, which you can see here, is on the west side of Pear Tree Point Road, right on the Darien River.
Now, we subdivided that into 4 mini lots? Or is
No,
it-
well, these are
it's
pretty
one-
good sized lots. They're all an acre plus in size.
No, the water lot we're talking about.
One dock for the association.
One dock lot.
It's one dock lot.
Yes.
All right, it's one dock lot, because the first cut out, it was 4 dock lots.
Right, we talked about 4 separate docks, and it was approved this way with one shared dock envisioned.
One shared dock, one ramp onto the dock.
Right,
Now we're just talking about putting a dock in the water and making sure the retaining wall there.
right,
Okay.
and since that time, they've filed the subdivision, and Lenny Brayman's gonna tell you about, went to the state of Connecticut, got the work for the work, whatever work is waterward,
Great.
and then Planning and Zoning Commission's jurisdiction is above elevation 3.4.
So it's just a standard installing a dock. We've
Well,
seen it
no,
million-
obviously, if it's a shared dock, you get a little more, in this case, you have a grade change, so you need some stairs and access down to a little platform, so.
Everybody knows where we are, right? There's no address such as 0.1.
This dock would be longer than a standard residential dock that would normally be approved by Connecticut Deep, because it is a shared dock that would be shared amongst those 4 separate lots.
But it's longer parallel to the coast.
No, it's perpendicular to the coast.
Right, perpendicular. So
Into water.
the pier itself is about 130 feet from what I understand, with a 35-foot gangway, so it does extend out much further than a standard residential dock that would normally be approved by Connecticut Deep.
Okay. Sir, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff, and thanks for orienting us to where we are. You saved me some introductory remarks,
Lenny, start with your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Leonard Brayman. I'm with the law firm of Wapsie Rose and Gweskin and Ferguson. And we represent 90 Pear Tree Point Homeowners Association LLC, which is the association that is the owner of the property at 0 Pear Tree Point Road, also known, as you know, as the dock parcel. And with me are Steve Kornick, the owner's representative, Tim Bartolomeo, the project engineer, and my colleague Laura Indelicati. We're pleased to present to you this coastal site plan application concerning the portions of the shared dock at 0 Pear Tree Point Road that fall landward of the mean high water line for this 4-lot subdivision at 90 Pear Tree Point Road that the commission approved in 2020. And that was subdivision application 627. So as you were discussing, in 2020, the owner of 90 Pear Tree Point Road, which was formerly the school, applied to you for approval to subdivide the property into 4 separate building lots. And 2 of those had frontage on Pear Tree Point, and 2 had frontage on Long Neck Point Road. The property is, of course, in the R1 zone. The dock parcel, which you can see on the subdivision map here, is approximately 1,800 feet downstream of the Gorham's Pond Tide Gate, the Rings End Road. And it's bounded by Pear Tree Point Road to the east. And it has 2 open space parcels also that are not the subject of this application to its north and south. And according to the 2020 P&Z approval, the dock parcel was contemplated, obviously, and it was intended to provide access to, as we were discussing, a shared dock, rather than potentially 4 separate docks. And that was considered to be better by this commission. It was also considered a favorable alternative by Connecticut Deep. So during the 2020 P&Z approval process, it was acknowledged that it would be best if a homeowners association were created relative to use and maintenance of the shared dock parcel and the potential shared community dock, and that's what we did. So per that approval, the dock parcel was deeded to the homeowners association, that's the applicant here. And that homeowners association is made up of it's the 4 owners of the 4 subdivided lots. Currently, there is 1 house that's been constructed at 78 Long Neck Point Road, which got a CO last year, and they have that property has tenants. They're aware of and they're in favor of the dock proposal, and the other 3 lots are currently vacant. The one has 74 has a foundation only.
None of the lots have been sold, right?
None of the lots have been sold. Correct.
They're all owned by the same principal.
Correct, which is Pear Tree Point Holdings LLC.
Great.
All right. So a permit for the shared dock, as you heard, most of which lies beyond mean high water in the Deep's jurisdiction, was obtained from Deep. And the 2020 P&Z approval did, of course, note that if there was work that were needed, proposed landward of mean high water, that we would have to come back to you. So here we are. We're now seeking your review under Comm and also flood damage prevention. Just to orient us a little bit more to the site, this is more from the 2020 approval. So here's the GIS map. It's a little easier to see where the dock parcel is relative to Darien River here and this. And then if you go to the Google Maps view, then you see it sort of in context with the landscape, the water. Then these are actually drone photos that were taken in 2022. This is approaching the dock parcel. And then this is a little further zoomed in. And you can see here the
You have wildlife in that picture?
What's that?
You have wildlife in that picture?
It's a person.
It's a person?
With
I get new glasses.
Not wildlife, unless you consider human beings.
Oh, it was a duck.
All right. And then, so you're getting a little closer now from the drone, and this is the seawall that you're going to hear more about from our engineer. And we're going to be repairing the seawall as part of this application. It has deteriorated a little bit over the years, and we're going to repair it. So we did get significant feedback on the project from P&Z staff, both before and after submitting our applications, and we thank staff for their helpful comments. Obviously, the dock parcel lies in the AE14 flood zone, so flood damage prevention is required. We meet those requirements. And as you'll hear more in detail, we will obviously also meet the Comm requirements. You have in your record the flood damage prevention certification from our project engineer. You have the CAM report from our project engineer. He's going to go into more detail about all of that. The parcel that we're talking about is about 1,786 square feet to the mean high water line. And it's got this existing stone seawall and wharf. The seawall, as you can see from the pictures, is dry-laid stone wall. And the project is to repair the existing seawall and perform the construction activities that we need to do landward of mean high water in order to build the dock for which we got the permit from the state DEP. The applicant also proposes to run power to the dock for boat maintenance and charging and so forth.
Do we allow lights on the dock? Or is that
I think
silent?
we spoke to Lenny, and there's no lights proposed, if I recall.
No lights that is correct, no lights are proposed.
What about the charging stations? A lot of those charging stations have lights on them.
I will let the owner's representative or the engineer speak to that, but we're not aware of any lights that are going to be, visible from the charging. So we did provide, the required notice by mail and newspaper. We have not heard, any negative commentary, and I'd like to turn it over at this point to Mr. DeBartolomeo, who can walk you through the design and the phasing also of the construction.
Before you flip totally, this is all approved by DEEP, right?
I think Tim's going to talk about that.
Okay.
What they approved and where they approved it.
Okay, and then because this goes out so far into the channel, does the harbor master have to get involved?
Well, the harbor master is aware of the application.
Okay.
I don't know if necessarily he needs to approve it. I think it also might need Army Corps of Engineers, but again, Tim will be able to answer that
Because the
question.
last time we did a really long one of these was inside Holly Pond, and no boats can go in Holly Pond.
The application was referred out to the harbor master. We did not receive comments back.
Okay.
So essentially, DEEP approved what's waterward of
Right.
mean high water, and we
Understood.
talk about what's landward. So, Mr. D, thank you.
This one is it.
You're using the pad? Okay, very good, thank you. Good evening, Tim DeBartolomeo with Sound Engineering Associates. So what I'll do right now is, I'll walk through the design a little bit, but really, on this particular drawing, this shows the existing conditions, and on the far right, we have Pear Tree Point Road and a steep slope down to what's been referred to as a wharf, and which is bounded on three sides by the dry-laid stone wall. There is a mud-flat area with oyster bed designations here, and which is primarily the reason why the dock has been approved where it's been approved. So let me move on to showing what's been approved by the DEP. And this is the position of the dock. And as you can see, we had to thread the needle between the shellfish beds here to get out to the water depth necessary. Now, I want to just point out in particular, the mean high water line is right about here. By all standards from the DEP, we were able to bring this fixed structure further out another 10 or 15 feet if we so chose to, but we had adequate water depth here. We felt it was plenty encroachment as it is. This is to share 4 small dinghies here, and the access time here is very limited. So the structure is located as such due to the location of the shellfish beds. I want to really flip back to one of the photos that Len had up earlier. This one here. This is a great photo because I'll probably use this a little bit more, but this really shows we're going to be coming off of this seawall right in this location right here. But the access across the street is in the north corner due to where the easement comes from across the street, and for a variety of other reasons, which is also line of sight for crossing the street and stuff like that. But so we have, so what we have to do is we have to do some work on this little slope right here, and that's going to require removing one tree, clearing some of the shrubs, and we're going to create some temporary staging area for some equipment on this hillside. So during this work, we're going to be putting in sedimentation erosion control, silt fence, turbidity curtain in the river, and be very cognizant of how that is treated.
Are you accessing from the road or from the river?
Construction of the pier is going to be from the river.
Okay.
Okay, so well, I'm going to just flip back here and just talk. If I just talk about, I don't know if I can zoom in, but if I could just talk about this area here. Yeah, let's see. Here we go. Thank you. So if we just talk about the wharf area here, we're coming off the road here and have a small walkway to a set of stairs down to this lower level, down to that seawall area.
Yep.
Then that's going to lead us to a stair up to the dock. Okay, so right now what I'm really talking about is everything associated with repairing of the seawall and the wharf surface and the stairs and access to from the road. Okay, and everything beyond the seawall is deep jurisdiction and really not part of what we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay, except for in its context. All right, so we'll go back to full screen here so I can turn the page here, Len.
Oh, no, I can direct him.
There we go. Okay. Oops. There we go. I got it. Okay. All right. So this shows the staging area here, and we're going to have equipment staged on. We're going to have a benched area here where we have an excavator here. What's going to happen to that seawall? As you saw from the photos, stones were missing. It needs to be repaired significantly, and that's going to require some excavating behind it, placing of geotextile fabric and crushed stone, and repairing it in a proper way. The Connecticut DEP has also approved that we install a concrete cap over that seawall to better stabilize it, and that's going to be incorporated with a new concrete slab on top of that. All right. So in doing so,
Just the wall portion,
Just-
or the entire area?
This entire, well, when you say entire area, I'll go back.
The entire
Yeah,
dock?
this entire wharf
Yep.
will be a
Yep,
concrete
okay,
surface,
thank
okay? All
That's
right,
po-
and we're
that's
gonna have
poured in- That's poured in place, or is that dropped down?
That'll be poured in place.
Okay.
Okay, so again, here, this is really a logistics challenge because of where
Yeah,
the
kidding.
site is. We have, again, line of sight, we got some traffic controls in our plan that I'll point out to you, but we have the seawall repair, we have the slab on grade, we have a small landscape wall here that acts as a little bit of a retaining wall to stabilize the slope. And then we have another small foundation wall, a landscape wall, I refer to it, at the top of the stairs, which really is functions to support the entry to the area, but it also is done in a manner that we don't require any significant shoring along the road. Okay, it's not. We designed it in a way that doesn't have to be a significant retaining wall, and there's a detail in here that I can explain, but we'll move on. So to our staging plan, we'll have an excavator staged on the hillside. We'll have a loader adjacent to that, we'll have, when work is being performed, we're gonna be stockpiling material across the street about 100 feet north. There's a curb cut to the property on the other side of the street. We're gonna use that as an entrance and have a stockpile area there. We're gonna have a contractor parking area on the opposite side of the curb cut. We are gonna have traffic controls, a sign at the north end, and when there is work going on crossing the street, we'll have a flag man, and on both sides, both ends of the construction area, we also have construction sign and flag man posted on that turn. We have traffic cones along the curb during this area, just because we know that this area is frequent with pedestrian walkers, dog walkers, bicyclists, and we want to just make sure that that all remains safe, and will be,
Excuse me.
contractor will be.
Sorry, excuse me. Ladies in the back, could you please? Thank you.
Thank you.
What time of year are you thinking of doing this?
As soon as possible.
So you're not
As soon as
doing
we get
July
approvals.
4th weekend?
No. As soon as we get approvals, we're hitting the ground.
Okay.
Um,
And what's the construction timeline?
This is expected, this portion
The
that we're
portion that- yeah.
talking about here we're talking about 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Okay?
So 4 to 6 weeks, and you start March 1st, you're done by April,
Yeah,
you're done
middle
by
April.
tax day.
Yeah.
I have filed my taxes, right? Okay.
Okay. All right, yeah, that's the end of it. Yeah, that is the end of it. So really, that's the summary of it. I think everything that we've designed is compliant with Section 820 of the Town of Darien flood regulations. And here to answer any other questions.
Do we cover the pylons for the dock? No?
Yeah,
The
Tim-
length of the dock, we don't really.
Tim, maybe you can show us on this plan where elevation 3.4 is?
Yeah, I will,
Or maybe on the dock
See, that's what I'm talking about.
cross-section
I thought we
plan,
had
maybe
all
that
this.
plan would be
Yeah,
good?
it's usually the 4
yeah,
feet.
really, the town, this is the drawing. Really, the town jurisdiction ends along the face of the seawall.
Yeah,
That's the mean high water line in the CJL, and
so we got.
everything that's
Off here.
landward of the seawall is town jurisdiction. Everything seaward of that
Block
is
that
state.
road.
But also, some stuff landward is also state jurisdiction. There's some overlap with the state and the Army Corps there, but the town's jurisdiction ends right at the seawall.
How are you getting power there?
Well, there's a power pole right on
But there is
the
one,
property.
so we're not bringing it underneath the road or anything?
No, there's a million
There's
tons.
poles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I remember we talked about, because it was before your time, but when we did this subdivision, we kind of sort of, the Planning and Zoning Commission kind of sort of redesigned it. That's where the easements came in. And the whole idea was, a lot of people have golf carts. So if I lived at 87 Long Neck Point Road, how was I going to get to the dock?
Yeah.
And you would have had to jump in your golf cart and drive all the way around the whole point. That's why we made you cut through the middle. So is there any kind of, parking area, drop-off area? If I'm taking my kid to the boat?
So there
Like stop in the middle of the road?
in the resolution, maybe Lynn want to speak to that, but in the resolution, there is a discussion about parking.
Yeah, so the short answer is that there's no special parking area that's part of this application.
That's what I'm asking,
Yeah. So, I suppose it's possible we could propose one in the future. At this time, we don't have any
You have
need.
no space, that's my problem.
Well, I'm going to let the owner's representative speak to that a little bit, but we don't have a special parking area as part of this application on the subdivision property. We're just seeking approval for the construction of the dock with respect to the activities that are landward of mean high water.
Understood, but the part that's landward, if you come in later and say, we need a parking space for a golf cart, and you design this with no room to wiggle, you dug your own grave. Follow me?
That's true. We're not anticipating that we're going to need to change anything about this design in order to come back.
Yeah, but you haven't sold the houses yet, so you have no idea.
We have a tenant.
You want to come up and speak?
Yeah.
State your name and affiliation for the record, please.
My name is Steve Kornitik. I'm the owner's rep. Right now, we have one house built at 78 Long Neck Point.
Yep.
No plans to build any other houses at the moment.
But the lots are the market for sale.
They're for sale, but
Right, as soon as someone buys that.
sure.
puts a
There is walking
$10,000
access
down.
down to the dock through the easement, and that would be the method to traverse from 78 or 74 down the hill to the dock. I know it's not a golf cart, but still make it work.
Right, that's going from Long Neck Point down to Pear Tree Point, right?
Correct.
That's what you're talking about. That's the one that we put in. way
Correct.
back when.
The original subdivision approval for 2022 actually envisioned that stone dust parking area on the east side of Pear Tree Point Road, so across the street from the dock parcel within the easement located on that portion of the property.
That's the parking area?
That would have been the parking area.
Show that, right?
Correct.
Have that approved.
So then, do we have any kind of
Yeah, we have-
safety plan to be able to walk from the parking area across the street to the dock? Is all I'm worried about.
I mean, to our knowledge, there, as Lenny mentioned, there's nothing that's being proposed as far as a parking area goes at this point. There was nothing in the subdivision approval that envisioned any safety features per se,
Striping the roads, anything like that?
you know, for folks getting across Pear Tree Point Road. I mean, obviously, we know Pear Tree Point Road, that section of the roadway is frequented by a lot of pedestrians and cyclists and runners. So there's people up and down that road all the time, of course.
I think where we created the access onto the dock gives it the best sight line for people walking across in the safest manner. If we had shifted it the other way, kind of closer to the curve.
Can you zoom open that?
Yeah,
I just want to make sure.
I do want to,
Yeah.
there's an area here, I'm trying to zoom in, I don't
So
really.
is it basically 30 long by maybe 15, 20
You know.
feet? It looks like there's a little
Right in here.
rectangle there at the end of the walking easement. It looks like it expands out to be a rectangle.
It does expand out, there's room to park a
Yeah, I
golf
know, but I'm
cart
looking for the
there.
address. So the northern, the one lot's 88, what's this one below it, 86?
92.
So it's,
So it presumably, if somebody did not park a car there, but had a,
bicycle.
It would be bicycle access at the most. It would
Can you
maybe
fit
be a
one?
golf cart if the tenant had one, but they don't, and their plan is to walk down the hill.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
they're walking from 87. 'cause you're on
there
the-
is no
They're
logical
walking from
parking on
78.
that thoroughfare. There's no parking signs everywhere. You
Right.
just have to trust that people aren't gonna,
to pick
there's
them.
no parking signs everywhere. Yeah.
Because I don't remember talking about a crosswalk going across, but I'm just concerned about safety for any kid that rides a scooter around. I mean, you don't know what's gonna happen when those houses sell. It could be me, and I got 4 kids,
Right.
you know?
I think it's a good point, but it's a broader concern with how many people walk down Pear Tree Point, not just the people that are coming off our lots.
There's a retaining wall in that location as well, so there's a grade change from the road to the other side of the retaining wall is a grade change of about 1.5 to 2 feet. So there would be no access to that easement area by a vehicle or golf cart or anything like that.
In fact, I think there's a stair, I don't know if one of the air photos shows, there's a little
Yeah,
2
there's a
steps
stair.
up to
Yeah.
get it from the road up
Yeah,
onto,
onto that
I think it
area.
might have been 92 Pear Tree.
Right.
And that's what we would maintain. We wouldn't be putting a ramp or anything,
Yeah.
just not to give anyone
Okay.
an opportunity.
And P.S., it makes sense because then hopefully people will realize it's not public use. It's private property.
Right.
You know?
True. So obviously the CAM standard is well known to this commission. There's no adverse impacts to coastal resources and from the work that's proposed in this application. And Mr. D's CAM report is in the record. He's obviously here to answer questions about his CAM report if anybody has questions about that. He did mention, and I mentioned that we also have the certification in the record that the flood damage prevention regulations in Chapter 8 are complied with fully. That's certified by the project engineer. So we respectfully request CAM and FDP approval from this commission. We're happy to take any other questions you may have.
Jamie, any questions on this application? George?
Yeah, would you, I think I heard mention of dinghies. Is that all that's going to be going to this dock? Or
You know, it's not really deep water here. It's not intended for full-time boating. You don't have that kind of water depth. It's intended for someone to temporarily, maybe when the tide is in and you get a good tide, you can bring your boat in, load up, and then take off. But mostly this is intended for people who have a boat on a mooring, and you're going to have your launch vessel or dinghy there.
Okay, that's what I was kind of curious about, how much loading up you're going to do. You're not going to put too much in a dinghy, but I mean, a day's worth of whatever for sailing is, you know, more than a person would walk down this easement and walk across the street with, I suspect.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm just wondering how tempting it's going to be to use some kind of vehicle. Is at the end of the easement, is that where you're going to, no, that's not where you're using the contractor vehicle, or is it where you're using the contractor vehicle parking? Is that part of the easement?
No.
No, that's different.
Well, they own the two lots across the street, so they can do their.
I mean, now's the time for them to build this while they own this land. And it's
Right.
fully under their control. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that it's all too easy to have a car zip to the wall. I guess there's gonna be a wall there, to park it there for a moment or two or 5 or 10 to unload the stuff that they need for the day of sailing or whatever. But you're saying it's just gonna be a small boat, and then from there, but then they're still gotta fill up the boat that they're going to. I just know human nature, and
Agreed.
it's gonna be awfully tempting to just pull to the side of the road here, put on their 4-way flashers and do whatever the heck they want to load up. Any idea how far it is to the either curve from the site we're talking about?
The road width?
No, to the curves. I know there are curves at either end.
Oh, to the curve, no, not off the top of my head, but just to go back onto your earlier point, you can see here that the dock is 10 by 25. It's intended for 4 boats for that one small dock. So you're not getting, 4 people are sharing this, you're not getting a large boat in any location there, no matter what you do.
Yeah. That assumes there's another boat there, but if there's no other boat there, you can bring it.
Right.
So at high tide, it's how deep there?
At high tide,
My boat's 23 feet, so I take up one side.
Deep draft?
No, mine's not. My draw's very small.
it's about 6 feet of water.
It's limited there.
Yeah, it's pretty shallow.
It's very limited.
Yeah.
It's very limited, and it's for 4 lots, 2 of which will not be parking there because they walk right there.
They're right there. Exactly.
So I
So you got to bring a bunch of bags and stuff.
Yeah,
And you're driving right there.
But 2 of the 4 right there.
You've never seen people from Darien Boat Club. They pull up their car and they grab one of those little golf cart, those little draw cart things, and they pack it with stuff and they walk over to the
The
boat.
property line is right there, but their house is 100 yards up, probably. Maybe not 100.
Tell me about the lights and the charging stations. Just out of curiosity, why do you need a charging station or what?
Well, we're bringing power there so people could have power in case they want to wash off their, or have,
Oh, vacuum.
Food maintenance and vacuum and stuff like that.
You're bringing water
So,
to it also?
Yeah, we're bringing water to it as well,
Okay.
yeah, so.
No fuel tanks though, right? No
Pardon?
fuel tanks?
No fuel, no fuel.
But it's not like, when you go to a boat dock.
It's not a marina, we're not gonna have a power post on the dock.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, there's no. At most, there's gonna be a power outlet that's mounted to this end of this gangway here.
With the GFI on it?
Yeah.
I got you. What, in the future, could you put in, what you see in Florida, where you put your boat in, it's like a 20-footer, you put it up?
A lift?
Yeah.
Boat lift? I mean, it hasn't been applied for, there's
Right, I understand that, but if I'm buying a $12 million
I mean-
house, and I want to put my 24-foot boat there and lift it.
I mean, I suppose someone could apply for a boat lift permit. with
And
DEP.
who do they apply to? They don't apply to
Connecticut
us?
DEP.
Okay,
Out of our jurisdiction.
yeah. Okay. Jamie, why, George asked his question. You cool?
Yep.
Amy?
Good.
Okay. Anything else? I'm going to open up to the public. Would anybody in the public like to speak to this application? Okay, seeing none. The only thing we're approving is the part from the outside portion of the repaired seawall to the road asphalt. That's it, which is longer than what we typically approve. But the only thing I care about is the Ed Gentiles of the world and the blocking of the road and the police department and all that stuff. Because you're bringing dirt back and forth and where the concrete truck's going to be. You're going to bring in to pour the slab. You're
Yeah.
bringing in a concrete mixer truck, right?
That's right.
Is that going to be on the road or is that going to be in the water?
That's gonna be on the road. Yeah. Yeah, so whatever is necessary by the town of Darien, if we need to get police traffic controls in place for significant events like that will happen.
And also keep in
I-
mind, they own the land that's immediately in front of that, so if there's things in jockeying that has to happen,
Right.
it's in their control to do that.
But the cement truck,
Yeah.
Plus, yeah,
Gonna be in the road.
plus the two parcels adjacent
I know,
on either
I know.
side, so, yeah.
Yeah, that is our intent, construction phasing.
State your name for the record.
Steve Kornitik, owner's rep.
Good,
For the
Steve.
for the construction phasing, we will be utilizing our property on the other side, so trucks will not line up in the street like a usual concrete, production would. We'll put them on our property. As we need them, they'll come across the street, they'll wash out on our property, and they'll be out, so. We're gonna make this as effective as possible and quick, and we like to do it as soon as possible before people start walking,
Great.
more regularly.
Yeah.
How many days of concrete pouring do you think you have to do the pour-to-place slab?
We haven't.
It's gonna be one day
Right.
for the slab and maybe another day for other small
Right.
items.
Right, when you're doing the wall, the repair of the wall, you got dudes standing in the water. right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But let me just add one thing to Steve's comment about the logistics of this. All the materials that arrive that we need for the land here is all going to be on demand. There's not really any staging of stone and stuff like that. So it's all going to come as we need it.
Right.
So.
Is the concrete wall held in by steel?
No, it's designed as a gravity wall as it stands right now, and it's just going to be repaired as is, as in kind.
Oh, really? So you're not doing pour-to-place concrete wall, no steel, riprap, whatever we call it? Huh, okay.
Jeremy, EPC doesn't need to weigh in on this, do they?
No, because it's below Gorham's Pond.
Okay.
Below the Rings End Bridge
Yep.
is considered
That's-
tidal.
that's
If
what I
it was
thought,
north
just
of the
making
bridge,
sure.
they'd have to go to EPC.
Because I know north, they would definitely have to. Yep.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I think we're good. We've talked about, anything we're missing? Okay. All right, entertain a motion to close. Adam makes a motion. Amy makes a second. All in favor? Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Does all that stuff, all the logistics stuff, Joe, is that get all taken care of during a building permit?
Yeah, it could be. Coordinate with police.
Because, when they replaced, the Hanson Road Bridge by
Right.
Referral,
It's still under repair, yes.
While they're currently.
Still out there currently working.
Yeah, there's all detours and all that.
Yeah, we kind of leave it up to DPW and police to work out the fine details.
Okay, that's the end of the public hearing. The next item on the agenda is deliberations and possible decisions regarding proposed amendments to the zoning map. The man first, second, I'm sorry. Deliberations and possible decisions regarding the following. Proposed amendments to the Darien Zoning Map, COZM number 1-2025, also known as PL 24-160, put forth by 328 Hoyt Street, LLC. I'm going to need to read the rest of it. Last week, we had a meeting, and Bob Mazin was here with regards to changing the zoning lot lines to match up with the property lines. Pretty straightforward. In our packets, we got a draft resolution, pretty short. Any questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors in this one? Nothing jumped out on the page, off the page to me. This one's straightforward. We didn't really deliberate. Did we deliberate this one last time?
We did
We did.
briefly the night at the very end of the meeting.
Matches with the town plan. If we knew about this, we probably would have caught it 3 years ago, or whenever we did it, but it's straightforward.
Do we say anywhere effectively that it could not be subdivided?
Yes, that's finding number 5.
Finding number
In this
five.
instance, Attorney Maslin explained that based upon the current zoning regulations,
Got it.
the zoning
Okay.
map would not allow either lot to be
Great,
further
I'm
subdivided.
good. Yep.
But if the other guy that owns, it's not part of the application, but it's the other property, he comes in someday and figures out it fits in Greenwood. Who knows?
Yeah, there's, people do some pretty interesting contortions to get a building.
You're gonna unlock $500,000. You can do what you can. I'm sure there's a guy at Carmody could figure it out.
There's a lot of people trying all day, every day, how to get a building lot in the town of Darien.
Yeah, exactly. Good? Okay, intention motion to approve and submit it. Amy makes a motion, looking for a second. Jamie makes a second, all in favor?
5-0.
It's not a subdivision. There's not subdivision. It's not one. All right, next item on the agenda is mandatory referral number 1-2025, also known as PL 25-7, Town of Darien, Pear Tree Point, at 1 Pear Tree Point Road. This was the mandatory referral for us in accordance with the state statute, which is, what's the state statute number again?
8-24.
8-24. Pretty simple and short that Jeremy and Fred drafted. The bottom line is commission finds a proposal that finds that the proposed substantial improvements to Pear Tree Point are consistent with the continued use of the property for the community recreational park purposes and are consistent with the town plan for 2016. Questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on this one? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve as submitted. Amy makes a motion, looking for a second. Alan makes a second. All in favor?
5-0 as written.
Go. Next item up for bid. Deliberations only on the following. Special permit application number 238F as in Frank, PL 24-163, Stonegarden Piercing Studio at 883 Boston Post Road. Proposed to establish a jewelry and piercing studio in the first floor space formerly occupied by Check Body Mind. The service property is located on the northwest side of Boston Post Road, approximately 80 feet north of its intersection with West Avenue, shown on Assessor map number 17 as lot 3 in the central business CBD zone. Hearing closed on January 7th. Decision deadline is March 12th. This is a special permit application, so we have sweeping powers to approve or not approve.
Right, section 1005. Yeah, it's a personal service use. So under section 1005, there's A, B, C, D, E. F is not really applicable. G is not really applicable. Similarly, H and I covers home occupations. But there are a number of provisions in section 1005 that the commission probably, as part of your decision, will have to make findings on. Does it comply with 1005A, 1005B? Walk your way through it and take it from there, see how it all shakes out.
This is something that I don't think we need in the central business district. To me, the way they designed it, it's got 6 studios that have doors where people go inside of. That, to me, looks like a dentist's office that should be on the second floor of an office building. It has a tiny retail component selling some kind of jewelry, which is not even the applicant's jewelry, it's an applicant's partner. So I don't think it's consistent with what we want in the central business district, so I would recommend that we do not approve the special permit. Looking for anybody else's comments on this one? You want to go first, Amy?
Yeah, no, I agree with your, it feels very much like not appropriate for a first floor space. And moreover, I mean, I don't know if this is applicable or not, but I don't, based on the locations that have been successful for this operation, and I don't know that this will be conducive for that.
Okay.
I just don't see it.
Adam, any opinion on this one, sir?
Yeah,
You've got daughters?
I do not. I have
Oh, you don't? You got 2 boys.
2 boys. It's just giant roughhousing jamboree. No, I agree with both of you. I was particularly concerned about the subzoning of these businesses inside of the thing where there's several different stalls. We've seen a number of applications that are similar, but it's just one person, appointment only, seems to be the trend for these sort of smaller shops. This one just seems to be going the exact opposite direction. We talked about parking in the application. It's just kind of like, it's a shared lot, there's available space. Every other application we've seen on the other side of the road, we've explicitly delineated the number of space required, the 6 stalls. It doesn't look like he'd even meet the parking regulations around that, so I've got concerns about that. Those back lots, I was there running this weekend, they're full all the time, so.
They are full all the time.
And this isn't, and the more I thought about it, you know, where right next door, you have Barvita, even though that's a high traffic area, that's people in, people out in 5 minutes. Most of the people, there might be one person staying, but they don't have a huge Cafe Nero, sit down, work type of place. Whereas if you're going to get a piercing, you're going to be there for a much longer period of time, so parking becomes much more important than just a 5-minute in, out, you know, boom, boom, boom type of quick service spot. So, no, I agree with both of you. I don't think it's you know, something that that should be going right there.
Okay. Jamie, any questions on this one?
No, I mean, it is unclear to me how long a customer would be spending with the 6 stalls. I tend to agree with what you've said.
Yeah, but 6 stalls, 6 employees, 6
patrons.
people, that all of a sudden you're at 13, 14
Yeah,
cars.
it's like
Plus, there's also the retail component. which,
Yeah, somebody else up
it's
there.
coming in to just buy
Yeah.
jewelry.
George?
Not to be too contrarian, but what the heck.
There you go.
As I
You're allowed to
understand
be.
it, this is a permitted use.
By special permit, yeah.
By
I
special
mean,
permit.
I think of barber shops along there, there's one particular barber shop there, and, you know, all that kind of personal care stuff. I certainly don't like the notion of telling an entrepreneur that I don't like the nature of his business, which is otherwise permitted, but I don't want to get pierced, and, you know, whatever my personal predilection is as to piercing, I don't want to get into that. I think parking is going to be an issue. It's going to add to it, but we're supposedly adding a lot of parking in the area, certainly downtown, and there should be opportunities for it. I trust he's going to make appointments and that folks will be coming and going with appropriate cushion between appointments. If he's got a business where he can justify 6 people working on 6 customers, he's got a pretty good business going there, and I'd be surprised for him, but that's okay, it seems to me. We could require that he park elsewhere, you know, not in the back lot, I suppose, or, you know, park in Center Street or something of that sort, if they can get a permit. So that's my current thinking. We're just deliberating here, right?
Yep,
correct.
Without a resolution in hand.
Nope.
But that's basically where I'm coming from. I think I don't see a showstopper at the moment.
There is no permit parking in the Center Street lot. That's
Okay.
all arrow.
Mechanic Street?
That's the only one.
Oh, so Center Street would be available to park
Right, but it's 2-hour parking.
without a park, oh,
You can't.
The employees are out.
Yeah,
right.
employees around. I just think it should be better on the second floor, on an upper floor, since they have dedicated closed-door rooms. So we have not approved, not approved, not approved, not approved, yes. So at this point in time, I would draft it up as a denial. Did Mike send you any comments at all?
I've not heard, Fred, have you heard from
No.
Mike? And we can certainly, what we'll do is bring this back at a subsequent meeting. What we'll try to do is, based on your discussions this evening, look at section 1005, A through I, which sections apply, base it on the application, the feedback we've received tonight in terms of concerns about parking. Will there be enough parking? It's a shared parking lot behind the building. The issues, you'd mentioned that there's 6 rooms that.
It is also, I think the other ones that you said were acupuncture was discussed, none of those were in the CBD.
Right, we'll take a look. What we usually do in a case like this is Fred and I will watch the video of the public hearing and use that as the basis for drafting something for your review.
You got it, okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, special permit application number 277 D's and Dog, PL 24-172, Spring Pilates LLC, 13 Grove Street, proposal to establish a Pilates studio in the first floor space formerly occupied by Boudoir. The subject property is located on the southwest corner formed by the intersection of Day Street and Grove Street and shown on Assessor's map number 73 is lots 15 and 16 in the CBD zone. Hearing closed on January 7th. Decision deadline is March 12th. This is on the corner of Day Street and Grove Street, directly across from the new restaurant that's going to be called Ocean Prime. There is also, again, open parking lots there across the way. The woman said she was going to have spacing between her classes, and I think 2 classes in the morning or something like that.
A number in the morning, starting, I think it was 5:30. They were going to run till about 12:30, 1 o'clock, break for lunch, and then resume, I'll call it after school time,
Yeah,
4 to
school
7,
time,
something
yeah.
like that.
I
It was
went-
outlined in the application.
Yeah, I went and had breakfast over at there the other day, and I was shocked that parking lot was empty. Yeah, I was like, it wasn't a Wednesday, it wasn't a Monday, and it wasn't a Friday where people don't commute, but that's the commuter lot. It was dead empty.
The lot in back of it, next to where Prime is
Yeah,
going in?
yeah.
Yeah.
Tracks going towards 2 Squab Lane.
Yeah.
I was floored. Because I went to an 8 o'clock dentist appointment. It was on a Wednesday.
I think people know that train parkers know you can't park there.
I thought you were allowed to park there for the train, no?
There's certain
2 hours.
squab
Oh, that's what we
lanes.
took out,
Squab
yeah,
lane
yeah.
is, but Grove Street was
Is
turned
not.
into
That was-
shopper
Yeah,
parking.
shopper parking.
Yeah.
So without the restaurant there, and really the traffic picks up on the weekends when you get the people going to Saltwater Flower, going to the coffee
Yeah.
shop right there.
Yeah.
That's when it gets, like on a Saturday, it's jamming back there. I
Right.
was there this morning just because I had to go to Greaves, and it was similarly pretty dead back there.
Yeah,
Around the
I'm
as
sure.
it was very crowded.
Yeah.
as well.
I was shocked. But anyway, I'm a little hesitant, but we don't have any regulations done. I think we just have too many, hair salons, Pilates studios, workout places downtown. There's like 6 of them. And I don't know how they're all going to survive, but,
And
We have-
it's literally a stone's throw from Club Pilates.
yeah, where she used to work.
Yeah.
So to me, I think it's going to be fine. So I would support it. Jamie, any comments on this one?
I don't have anything else.
George?
No, it's fine.
I would just, I'm fine with it. I would just make a note too, when she presented the application, she talked about the music and
Yes.
stuff. So I'm cognizant of the tenants that live above in those apartments. Obviously, we don't want, she said it was more meditation, whatever, but, you can get in there at 7 o'clock at night. Those are starter family home apartments that usually kids or people have, typically a small baby. And anybody who has an infant knows at 7 o'clock, you know, normal person, you don't really care if music's winding down, but if you're putting an infant down, it can get loud. So as long as that time.
I think she did say that there was a restriction, the landlord.
Yeah, that's a landlord.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we put that in that.
Yeah, because she was very clear as part of her
She talked
project
about it,
narrative.
yeah.
She talked specifically about the music, and at the public hearing, she testified to that. So I think she's willing to do that.
You can put something in the resolution, but that is really a landlord-tenant thing?
Yeah. No, I just want to highlight, not in one of the findings.
In the previous approval, they had some conditions of approval with regards to employees parking. I have that in my notes, the previous approval for that.
That's what, yeah.
Lessee.
Yeah, look at Labrador and see where.
Significant conditions on approval with they had dedicated 12 on-site spaces with a shared parking agreement with 13 Grove and 1015 Boston Post Road. So no employees can park on site. They had to park off-site.
I think here,
The only
you're right.
difference, this was probably 3 employees, where the hair salon probably had like 12.
Okay.
Right.
That's the
Okay.
difference, because there was like 6 slots or 6 spaces in the hair salon to get your hair dried, or
Yep.
blown, whatever they did.
Yep.
And washed. So you had a washer, you had a bunch of things, but.
Okay.
Do you remember when?
Hmm.
You remember
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I do not, sadly.
So just look at that parking thing, because to me, I think she has 2 classrooms and a receptionist.
Yes.
So that would be 3, if they all drove, that would be 3 cars. And she said something about she's gonna open up, it's the first class, and then the receptionist comes in later, and.
Yeah, we'll go through the record and try to identify the issues on parking, music.
All right, next
Class
item,
time.
we good on that one? Draft over approval? Next one on here, coastal site plan review number 384, flood stem prevention application number 391A, land filling and regrading application number 581, site plan, PL, also known as PL 24-169, town of Darien, Pear Tree Point at 139 Pear Tree Point Road. Proposal to reconstruct, fill, regrade, and reduce the area of the existing parking lot, convert part of the lot to sand/beach area, install drainage with the new catch basins and stormwater piping to assist in mitigating the ponding of the parking lot, dredge and reconstruct the boat ramp, install a new landscaping, construct a new paver picnic area, and to perform related site development activities within regulated areas. The hearing closed on January 21st. The decision deadline is March 25th. I personally think they did a great job with the application. I think it's a great thing for our town to redo the beach. I am a little surprised that we didn't really get any pushback on the 12 parking space I think they're losing. I kind of sort of get it. You'd rather have beach and less parking. That lot gets filled to the brim, I don't know, 4 days of summer, something like that. But I think they did a great job. I think what you have to do is make sure in the resolution, if we agree to approve it, that we make sure that the dumpster's gone, that there's no dumpster, that's taken off the plans. And I think that was the only major, and that they're required to put the picnic things, I mean, actually, I don't know if we can require it. We can't require the grills.
Yeah.
You can't say you have to have grills at a park, but.
Sure, yeah. She said that they're gonna put
She
it
said
back.
they're going to.
Now we gotta say, now we can make
If
her
they're
do
a
it.
fixture, I suppose you could.
Yeah.
And they might be, affixed under the sand,
Yeah,
I guess.
they'll be concreted in, so, those are the only things that I jumped on.
There was also one question as to how the equipment was gonna get on the beach,
Yeah.
based
Oh,
on the
the
landscaping
little curb
plan.
cuts at the end.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving room for the
Yeah.
for the guys
Yeah.
to maintain, to get a little curb cut so they can get in and around,
Yeah.
and maybe even spacing the trees so they can get the equipment
Yeah.
between the
Yeah,
trees.
keep mowing those shrubs down.
Yeah. So good points, both.
I've heard allegedly that it hurts dogs' feet. So we gotta make sure those beaches get clean.
Listen, no dogs on the beach during the season.
I've heard that. from
I've
people.
heard that. I got a picture of my dog not on the beach. Jamie, any questions on this one?
No, I'm good.
Good? George?
All good.
All good?
No, I think this was a great application. These guys did a good job at the other beach as well, so nothing from me.
Cool. So you draft up and approve on that one? And I don't think Mike didn't give any comments on this one. Did
No,
he?
we have not
I
heard.
don't think, was he at the, I don't think he was at the hearing.
No,
He was.
there.
No, he wasn't. It was last week. You're
He watched
correct.
it on. He must have watched it on TV.
One thing that I would like to make sure is in our, because people will consult these written forms rather than they'll actually watch videos, is I think it's really important how they started off to say, this is not being proposed to solve all of the
Yes.
flooding events. So I don't want someone to come on and the town spent all this money and look, there's still flooding that happens. That, I just want to make sure that that was front and center right
Yep.
out of the gate. This is
Reduce
not
the
a,
amount.
not a
Right.
solve for that.
Reduce the amount of
Yes.
what they call sunny day flooding.
Yes.
And
It'll make it
Summer, can you also weave in the word sustainability in there?
Yep.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Adam. I cut you
I
off.
agree. It's below sea level, it's gonna flood when there's a storm, the beach.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, cool. That's that one. So everyone's agreeing with that, to approve for that guy. And if, I don't know if we're having, if that approval can be ready for next meeting. I think that would make Parks and Rec kind of happy.
Yeah, we're gonna try, but we have like a day and a half, so
I know.
we'll see. We'll try.
I know.
We have a hearing in a day and a half?
Well, we have to get it out to you.
Oh.
in
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yeah,
at, you know,
what?
They are
Meeting this
Wednesday and
So
half
tomorrow's-
Thursday. They don't work Fridays.
Got it.
And if we get it mailed to us Monday morning,
Yep, understood.
people argue. What's next? Flood damage prevention application number, let me go back for a second. There's nothing we can do about this blowing sand, right? We on the other one, we got rid of that?
I'm not
Remember
aware
that one
of
guy
how so.
complained about
I will know, as part of the Park and Rec application, they talked about some landscaping, which will help.
buffer the
They put a
sand
fence in, and I think the fence is an integral part of that, which will also help.
and the seagrass? Okay,
Fence
because
and
that
seagrass.
one neighbor put in all those pictures of blowing sand and something from 2005 about the sand blowing.
Near the beach, you're gonna get sand.
That's, yeah.
I don't know what he wants.
He did say it was not a beach.
He
but-
wants it to be ripped up and put back into an oyster bed. I mean, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. Pear Tree Point Beach, last I checked, maybe it was. Next time, sorry about that. Flood damage prevention application number 451, landfilling and regrading application number 508, also known as PL, 580, sorry, also known as PL 24-165. David and Delice Bolotin at 150 Pear Tree Point Road, proposed to construct a new pool, patio, retaining walls, perform related site development activities, including regrading the property to accommodate improvements and installation of stormwater management. Hearing closed on January 21st. Decision deadline is March 25th. It's a pretty straightforward pool application. It's kind of small. We did hear from the neighbor just to make sure that it wasn't too close to their house. It conforms with all the setbacks. There's going to be some kind of, fixed chimney there with regards to spa. There's no lights, real lights around it. We never really get into sound and music and whatnot on those things, but I don't think that came up. It's a long run for the pool. I think the only thing you have to put in there is if they can't get the run for the gas tank that far, then they have to do something about another buried gas tank. Because it
Gas tank cannot be above.
can't be
grade
visible
in
from the
front yard.
road is our new regulation, right?
I'll have to reread the exact wording. I'll put that in the red.
Yeah. I also have in my notes that the health department needs to review.
Yes, because it's on septic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
health department
Still
would
needs
be,
to review that.
I think they've approved it, but we'll include it anyways.
Yeah.
Properties on septic. EPC has approved it, you may recall. There's a combination of the pool, the spa, the patio, and then they're cutting into the grade, so there'll be an associated 5 to 6 foot retaining wall. So they'll, of course, need a building permit, structural engineer looking at that.
Yeah,
As part
we
of
didn't
this.
get into that 5 to 6 foot retain, but they're not allowed to put any fencing on top of the wall, right? No, is it,
Well, it meets the
do they
setback.
have to or no?
No, again, the building department will determine what kind of pool fence they may or may not need. They did show on the
It was
plan.
in the plan, there was a pool, the
There's
fence
pool
of the
fence all the way
yard,
running
they're
the
gonna
back,
say they're gonna
in the
use that
back.
as the legal pool fence
Yeah, but I was talking
on
about
top of the wall.
if there's a kid playing soccer
Yeah.
and
No, I
his
get you on
ball
top of the
falls,
retaining
goes over the wall, the kid can fall over the wall. We never got into that. That's a building.
The building department will be,
It's
figure
the
that
ones on
out.
kid falling off the wall, and dump it 5 feet on the ground. Jamie, any comments on this one?
No. thank you.
George? Good?
Very
Good?
I said mine.
There you go, done. Draft up that one. The next one is got to do with TCNE Metro LLC Inc. I'm out. All right, so I'm going to leave, let's skip chairman's report. I'm going to go home, right? You don't got something to be back, right?
All right, we'll see you back next week.
See you the 4th. I'm out. Thank you, sir. I want to pass the agenda and the baton over to the vice chairman. You're welcome. This is the thing for you. You can look at that.
Great, thanks.
I don't think there's much you want to do. I'll be quiet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Give me a second.
I love my plan. Mr. Steen.
Got half the library of Darien over here.
Easy there, kill it.
Okay, thank you.
Get that.
Talk to you next week. Thank you, guys.
See you, Steve.
Okay, moving along at 9 o'clock. The site plan application number 312, special permit application number 340, flood damage prevention application number 448, land filling and regrading application number 576, also known as PL 24130, TCNE Metro Development Inc. 11622 Thorndale Circle, and tax lot number 9, as shown on Assessor's map number 39. This is the proposal to raise 5 existing office buildings on the subject property and construct a new residential community consisting of 5 multifamily buildings, garages, amenity areas, driveways, parking, drainage, utilities, landscaping, and to perform related site development activities within a regulated area. A total of 175 apartments are proposed. The hearing was closed on December 9th, 2024, and the decision deadline is February 11th, 2025. In our packets today, we had a draft resolution provided by staff. There were some late day red lines. I want to make sure everybody saw those. We have a copy here. I had them print up in case anybody didn't see it. So I assume that everybody had a chance to read it. So it's obviously, which we knew would be quite a lengthy document. So just starting kind of at the beginning and going through it for clarity, we've got in the findings, we've got the 5 office buildings, we've got the 175, apartments. Those apartments are also delineated out in a chart on page, I don't know what the page is, on page 8. The back of page 8, so the 4th page. Where we go over the number of parking spaces required for each unit. There's 310 total proposed, which meets the regulation for parking for 310. So I'd just like to point that out. It talked about the affordable units here that are proposed. That was in finding, if you can remind me, Jeremy, where was it?
That was in finding 12, page 5.
Yes, finding 12. They're to be dispersed throughout the 5 buildings, not all centrally located in just one spot. They're to be all different sizes, so that meets our affordable housing regulation. Skipping around a little bit in terms of just generic setbacks. That's on page 4 too. At the grid, you can see they're compliant on all the minimum yard depths, backsides. Since we did change the zone, they're compliant on that as well as the precursor to that zone change, which we also mentioned, I believe, somewhere. I can try and Yes, in number 5, we talked about it. Going into other boards that have seen it, we all know the EPC has seen it in a lengthy process, talking about the open space to the west and what will happen there, which is a great addition. ARB, they went through a number of iterations. We saw a number of different drawings over the course of this application. I think they landed on a design that kind of is what ARB is sort of pushing everybody to, which is fine. I don't see anything.
Just as a quick nit here, tipped off by number 13 above, the EPC findings, that that is being incorporated by reference. Should also the Architectural Review Board's review also be incorporated?
Yeah, I think we can certainly say that. It says that issuing, at the last few sentences, the last few words, issuing a favorable report for the proposal, which is part of this record.
Yeah.
Or which is
okay.
incorporated herein.
Yeah, okay.
We had, perfect, yeah, no, absolutely. Going through it, we'll start with the easier one. We had Mr. Canis go through the drainage plan. As we know, there is no drainage at all on the site. It is just paved, current conditions are just a paved, asphalt parking lot, and it just sheet flows into the river. So this project represents a significant improvement to those conditions with their retaining walls, with their retention system, with that sort of garden, circular park thing they're calling it. So I think from a drainage point of view, it represents a significant improvement as opposed to what's currently there. The other peer reviewer was Mr. Del Rio of H&H, we'll say, Hardesty Hanover, as we heard today, from a different set of the company now likes to be called H&H. We did discuss a number of times about the traffic. In particular, that was the largest part, of course, the curb cut on Hecker Avenue. Our traffic engineer, our peer review traffic engineer, demonstrated that there will be no adverse impact to the way that curb cut is positioned. And I believe we have it written in here such that if there is an issue, that the police can bring it back to us and we can change that. And that's in part WW, towards the very end of the packet. Which goes over the main concern is not just the traffic on Hecker, but there's a left turn out. Obviously, we don't want cars going down, pulling a U-turn right in front of an illegal U-turn right in front of the police station, which doesn't seem like a smart idea, but people may do it to get in that way. So we're gonna, if there's any issues, they can come back to us, and then we can modify the approval. So that's covered in WW, which was kind of the main sticking point.
Can I ask a quick question about that one? Just the red line on WW, it says a consistent documented pattern of the following conditions, but couldn't it be any one of those conditions instead of all of the conditions?
Yes, it could
We
be
could say-
any one of those. We
Yeah,
can
maybe the
clarify
word,
that.
I think you're right, Jamie, a consistent documented pattern of one or all of.
Right.
Any or all of the
Or
following.
any or all of.
Yeah, something like that, but yeah. So it doesn't have to be all of them.
Yeah.
If
Correct.
any of them start causing a serious issue over there, we can certainly take this away and redo it. So those were kind of the main highlights of the application. Staff did a great job, I think, in outlining, quite a lengthy application process in the findings. There's a total of 68 different findings. I didn't see any typos, scrivener's errors, anything really to change in those 68 sort of summary items about what happened. The only thing I wanted to mention that I didn't see in here, we talked about refuse. We generally include some mention about public comment. And
There was a generic.
Yeah, there is.
where was it? That was
I remember reading.
during the public hearing.
It was pretty early on.
Flood damage, construction.
62 on page 11.
There it is, public comment, yes,
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight that. We did receive a number of public comments. They've all been considered by the application, by the commission here. They are included in the public record. All the letters we received, as well as all of the comments that we entertained during the public hearings. There was a number of back and forth, and there was also a number of different hearings on this matter, so the public had ample time to weigh in on this. So that being said, going into the nitty gritty, we have, the outline of all the, documents submitted. In section A, we talked about B, the 175, there's no 3-bedroom apartments here in this development. The applicant proposed none, and we're saying that in B. We're keeping the overall building height to 35 feet as per our regulations. We talked about traffic for the...
I have a question
Sure.
with regards to G. That all traffic and pedestrian improvements shown on their plan shall be implemented prior to the issuance of any temporary certificates of occupancy. The question I have is, does that cover the spirit of that exit modification onto the Boston Post Road where we're bringing that stop gate line out for line of sight? And we talked a little bit about chicken and the egg, is if, like we had with Cloud Car Wash, where it's not our approval because it's a state road, but if the DOT says, no, you can't do that. Where we talked about, that strip of land and that survey that's in front of Nielsen's. Are we
Yep.
bringing, where are we addressing that? Is that something that's
specific
covered by
reference.
G here?
It's covered somewhere with the crosswalk and the sidewalk. It indicated that those...
Where is that? Did you
That's a
catch
fair
that?
question.
'Cause I want to make sure, I didn't see it specifically, and I want to make sure, and I don't know that, I mean, we can say we want it, but DOT can say, yeah, no, we don't, that's not something we're going to approve. And I don't know where that leaves you.
You mean in condition G,
G, where it says, is that,
shall be implemented?
clearly that's what they're proposing.
Right, so the question could be, does the commission want to say, it shall be implemented prior to the issuance of a temporary CO unless superseded by state DOT?
Let me see, because it's, we
Isn't it in
reference.
F3?
Or F3?
Well, the
And
proposed
4.
changes to this intersection were reviewed and approved by COT. Okay, yes, you know what, I lost that because I was looking at that as turning templates. I was thinking that
Yeah,
was
it's
all about
something, it's something different.
Yeah. And does that propose changes by the 2 minor turning template conflicts still present on site? The curb radius of the Boston Post Road Thorndale Circle to accommodate the larger vehicles exiting and exit of the property. The proposed changes to this intersection, that's a different change. The change I'm talking about is the bringing out that
I think
stop
we
sign.
can bring the stop bar out because that doesn't require DOT approval,
It does not.
because that's not on the post road,
Not certain of that,
We're not-
because that would still be within the right-of-way of
the post road.
the
Or the
post road.
post permit?
Yeah, I believe that would still require OSTA approval.
That's why I was wondering if G kind of covers it, because it's something that was their site plan it includes that.
So what I was thinking of, I found on page 7, paragraph 31, where it says, the sponsor proposes to improve the circle to create a pedestrian linkage between the subject property and the post road sidewalk system. These improvements include an extension of the curbs on both sides of the intersection to shorten the crossing distance of Thorndal and a new crosswalk across Thorndal. Does that accomplish what, I think that accomplishes what we
I
had in
don't
mind.
think so.
That's what they said they're gonna do. Now the question is, how do we enforce 31? Do we wanna, if DOT says no, then what? The whole thing goes away?
guess that's one question. How important is that to the commission?
I don't think it's something like the Cloud9 car wash that kills the whole thing, right? Because it's a current condition right now. And they did, Greg's peer review traffic study didn't say this traffic study is based on that intersection changing. He looked at the current conditions of it. So the traffic patterns don't.
With sight lines?
The sight lines, the traffic patterns don't change. Those sight lines are just better, safer, better for walking, better for cars.
Yep.
But it doesn't change the flow of traffic in or out of this
No.
proposed application. So I don't think it's like a killer of it. I think it's something that they should do, and they should try to do it, and they shouldn't just say, oh, no, we decided not to do it. They should seek approval and then go from there. But I don't know, how do we write that?
Well, I guess if we include it as a requirement, then they'll have to come back to us and say we can't do it.
You could certainly do it that way. If it's not approved by OSTA,
Yeah,
return to the commission.
they would have to.
Because if it's not approved, then I think there's other things that we can do to consider, where these giant tractor trailers park. Because like with Land Rover and it really, like if that is back and then we have meaningful traffic that's trying to get out there and they can't be at that level, I don't know, I think there's other things we need to think about then.
Well, I mean, this application itself doesn't, it's something that they just said that they would improve. It's not even realistically part of the parcels of the application. It's something that they're just doing in conjunction with Nielsen as a added sort of bonus. So I don't know that we can really even say that, because Nielsen could say, well, I don't want to have this parking lot here anymore because I'm tearing down my flower shop and I'm going to come to you with an office building and, blah, blah, blah. So we still can't, it doesn't have anything to do, this is sort of like a partnership with the seller of it and of an adjacent lot, but it doesn't really have anything to do with this lot itself. It doesn't have to do with the turning. So I don't think
that's my struggle.
Yeah, so I don't think I don't think it's a priori, okay, if they don't do anything to that intersection, then this whole thing should go away because of that. So I'm not sure how we want to write that, or if we want to say the applicant shall seek approval from DOT to make the necessary changes.
Well, we could do that as part of condition VV number 1, because talk about all the other permits they need to get.
Right.
And number 1 is the OSTA permit from the state of Connecticut DOT. So we could certainly say, which shall include the request for the changes outlined in the finding.
Consistent with their, whatever
With the
reference
proposal.
site plan that we're referencing.
So do you want to include that as that, to note that?
Yeah, you have to go do it.
Yeah. The only other question I had is, in some places we said, like for instance, the maintenance of the drainage systems and the landscaping plan was a requirement of future owners. Is there a blanket statement, or is this de facto that the conditions that we are in this resolution apply to the next owner? But sometimes we call it out in other places. I'm just curious why in some elements we did call it out and others we didn't.
I think number 3, where Fred uses the term project sponsor, which is synonymous with the current applicant/property owner or its successors and assigns.
Got it. Okay, great. I'm good then.
And as part of, we could always pull the special permit.
Not compliance.
Yeah, so, but yeah, and they'll file that in the town record. That's in there as well.
Okay.
As a land record, excuse me.
Those are mine.
Okay. George, anything?
I've just been struggling with a little language here, but I suspect it's correct. But number 4 of F, traffic and on-site
The fire truck
circulation.
turning?
Yes, exactly. The turning templates
Exiting Thorndal
points
Circle.
southbound shall be illustrated to the rightmost southbound. is illustrated the correct word there? I don't understand the use of illustrated there.
Turning temperature.
Turning template shall provide for garbage trucks.
They basically they don't want the trucks to go into the second lane on the Boston Post Road. They want to make a right and go into the first lane, which is what
I
we
think illustrated, I
saw.
think might be the wrong word.
I don't understand it there. But, I mean, maybe in traffic land, that makes sense. I don't know. Is this some kind of document that,
I think that was a comment from either Greg Del Rio's December 5th letter.
yeah, apparently, consistent with his letter?
And illustrated, I don't know if that means like located, like depicted.
We put the
I'll let you
Located.
ask Greg.
No, we'll just pull the letter from, and if whatever the letter says.
Yeah.
So we'll check on that.
Make sure it makes sense.
And
Even if, you know,
F4.
the letter could be wrong too.
Right.
I don't know.
You could reference the letter in 4 as well, as
F4.
indicated by Mr. Del Rio's letter on,
Okay.
oh yeah, I guess it's
wording.
up there.
And then I noticed
Yeah.
just now on E, there's a typo. It says in compliance with ARB approval. And what we're going to do is take the reference for the ARB, which we talk about in paragraph 14. It's are in compliance with the ARB favorable report in ARB 27-2024. It's a minor change.
Yeah, 27, 2024, not 24-127. Same numbers, wrong order.
Yep.
Yep.
And I'll just, acknowledging my confusion about traffic issues, I'll acknowledge one more. On 27, paragraph 27 of page 7, they are referring to 45%. All right, so it is estimated 20% of the new site traffic will access the subject property via Boston Post Road, 2 from the north, 20% via Boston Post Road, 2 from the south, 15% 2 from the east via Interstate 95, and 45% 2 from the west toward Interstate 95. I'm confused by that.
295.
To I-95 and the Norotan Heights train station. So 45% to the west. So if you're coming out of, we're talking about coming out of, this is
Hecker.
toward the Boston.
45 are going to go one way, the other ones are going to go the other way.
So this is not Boston Post Road here. 15%, 2 from the east via 95, 45%, 2 from the west.
So basically, the first 2 are going out Thorndal, right?
Okay.
20% each way.
Right.
And then 15 is going to go from Hecker towards the library to the Boston Post Road.
They're taking a left there, correct.
And then the
okay.
other 45 are taking a right and heading west over to Norotan. And that's 100% of the traffic.
Toward Interstate 95.
Over there, because that's where you
I
get
guess.
on, right? You go past Post
Yeah.
Street 45 and then you head onto the highway?
You got to go over the bridge and all
Yeah,
that. but-
exactly.
Okay, if that is what we're talking about, that's fine.
And
Okay.
it sums up, I checked that, it sums up to 100 too, so it's not like we're
Yeah,
missing out
okay.
5%
Very
of
good.
the
Well, you
traffic.
checked that, very good. Okay. Maybe I would have referenced Tech somewhere in there, but no problem. Go ahead. All good.
That's it?
Yep.
Jamie, what do you got?
I'm still looking at WW on page 21. I'm just wondering, during the redlining, why the legal traffic authority was changed to Darien Police Department or other applicable town departments.
It's interesting, Jamie. I'm glad you mentioned that, because at the same time I was reading finding 19 on page 6, which is very similar, because finding 19 talks about the LTA issued December 5th, 2024 letter with their specific comments. And so that was the finding. And here,
The list of the,
right,
Yeah.
and the list is almost word for word. I think there's 1 or 2
Right.
words off. We could say, but I think the reason, and I think I scratched this, per the legal traffic authority, this may include, because I think the list was from the traffic authority, but I think what the way we wrote it up was a consistent with your addition tonight, a consistent documented pattern of any or all of the following conditions as reported by the police department or other applicable town departments shall be grounds. So I think in finding 19, it's, hey, the LTA tossed this out, and the commission has kind of,
I think maybe you said our other town departments might be because I think one of the concerns is not just police, but it's also emergency response.
It could be EMS or the fire trucks are like, we can't get in.
I think that's probably why you put in or other applicable town departments.
Yeah, I thought it was because the Darien Police might not be the LTA at some point in the future.
Oh, I thought it was because you.
Oh, you can read it now. I'm seeing your way. I thought it was like, oh, well, there could be. We could have, with all this new development, we could have a different legal traffic authority that's not the police.
Yeah.
But we want the police to say, hey, this is causing them. This is hurting us. We can't respond if the legal traffic authority is in the selectmen or some RTM, whatever. The police can trigger this. We don't have to get the traffic authority.
Or the library.
Yeah, or the library or somebody else.
Can I just ask one more question about the same?
No, definitely.
So we can. So this is included but not limited to at the end to the closure of Hecker, the site driveway. Is that something that we could make an assessment of before a hearing would happen? That it could be.
You're saying we have the right to make
Do
these
we?
changes?
Is what I
Or
meant.
you're saying we should put it back to a hearing again?
No, well, it says that there. It
Right,
says-
you would have to have
it
a
says
hearing.
Notice and hearing, but then, I'm just asking if we can list what, the closure might be the recommendation of that hearing without having the hearing.
But we say including but not limited to.
No, I understand, I'm just
So it
wondering
kind of
if.
covers our bases.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. You're like, we might decide to say, you got to open up a second curb cut on Hecker to alleviate it and plow through the woods, or, you could make them do anything.
I
Depending
guess
on the
that's a
problem.
good question, is do we
That's
put it in as one of the many alternatives, or just leave it more vague? I guess that's, right?
That was my question, just.
It's a good question,
not-
yeah.
Well, you want to give them notice of whatever we're thinking, if we can't think of everything at the time, but.
Right, or you could say to the closure or modification of the site driveway, which could be right turn out only or something.
Yeah.
You might be able to say,
More
okay,
descriptive, yeah.
maybe it's closure, maybe it's modification. If the commission's happy with that word.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I was going to chime in on the discussion of the police and other applicable town departments, just to say the DPD would be the reporting agency. They're the ones who would collect the information, et cetera, and give it to the LTA, I suppose. But I think that's the right use of it, at least right there.
Okay. Well, I'm hesitant to vote on it because there are so many edits. So I think we have the staff come back. I think it's, from a high level, this is a very well thought out and prepared.
Yeah, it was well done.
Approval.
Well done.
Really good.
Very good job, guys. I want to say that. We will let you make those edits, and we will come back next week. And then hopefully Mr. Netter will be here, and we can see if he can partake in this as well. But I think that'll be okay.
Sounds good.
Yep, agreed.
But overall, I think we're
Now,
very
next
close.
week, do you want to see these red lines plus what was discussed tonight, or accept the red lines and then just show tonight's changes?
Except the red lines, just what's changed.
Obviously not the dates.
Yeah.
The dates will
We
change,
don't,
right.
we don't need the date redlined, but the other stuff, except all the
Oh, it'll be
changes.
back to Jen. Oh, will it be the 4th? Our
Yes,
next meeting is the
yeah.
4th, so,
Yep.
yeah, it goes
so
back to,
they'll undo,
right.
they'll redo, but then you look at it, I don't know, you see that, then you have two red lines, and it's a pain in the ass.
I understand.
It gets marked up like crazy.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
Great.
Okay.
so we'll do that then, and we'll put that on the agenda, and then it should be a much smoother deliberation, since we think we've covered all the main points.
Yeah,
Here. Okay.
we
Great.
tried to put it high on the.
Okay, well, that being said, let's continue on to the meeting. So there is no chairman's report, I don't have anything. Jeremy, do you have a director's report you'd like to chime in on at the moment?
Nope, we're going to be meeting next February 4th. At that meeting, we'll have at least 3 draft resolutions, the one in Thorndal Circle, we're aiming for the Bolotin Pool, Pilates, and we get Pear Tree done, we will, but I'm not optimistic.
As my current perch as the person in, I would rather see the beach and this and nothing else
Okay,
than
great.
worry about the pool,
We'll get
the
Pear Tree
the
Point.
Pilates studio. You know, I'd rather see just do the beach and then try and get the beach done and then put everything else on hold.
Got it. Okay, good.
We can
Yeah.
do the other stuff. We got plenty of time on.
Yep.
This is important. This is a deadline, and then
The beach.
The beach.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then, from what I understand, on the 11th, a couple of you can't make it, so that meeting is likely to be canceled. The meeting on the 25th, we'll probably hear from Hardesty Hanover, H&H again, and take it from there.
Are we allowed to discuss other topics?
If we do a 2/3 vote of the commission.
Because it's kind of in the resolution that we just saw. But part of the resolution we just saw was when we referenced the traffic reports, you know, Hardesty and H&H's expectations were this many trips in the morning, this many trips in the afternoon. I would love to see, very much like Craig did with regards to school count expectations, the post-mortem on these were the predictions and these were in fact the school children that were in all of these developments. I would love to see, we thought we would have this kind of traffic on Corbin. We thought we'd have this kind of traffic on Federal Realty. We thought we'd have this kind of traffic on, you know, the new Palmer site, and now we have this, what we thought. I'd love to see that comparison to say, where are we?
In the PBOC?
Yeah.
And the only, I get what you're saying.
Because there's just these layers and layers and layers and layers and layers.
I think the only way, the two issues, one is that a new traffic study costs money,
I get it.
right? So that's and it's not related to an application, right? Where we can say, oh, you know, we need a peer reviewer to come review this, right? We can spend the money for that. We can't just say, how's the traffic? And, you know, like, I feel like there's gotta be, I don't know what type of budget staff has to be able to do that. And then two, I don't know how you can, I think it's almost too premature, right? Because Corbin
I know
is generating
it's-
so much traffic if you
But
go out
when?
there. Yeah.
When do we say, at some point, we need a handle on, and is it, that's just my thoughts, because I think it's becoming a real issue.
Yeah, I think I've seen, just because I live on Locust Hill or off Locust Hill, which is a common pass-through, I have seen going into Rowayton, Norwalk police enforcing no cut-throughs. I've never seen a Darien police officer out there ticketing people that are driving through Darien, not on 95, because Waze says, get off this exit, take the back roads to Norwalk, get on just before Route 7 and zip right on off. So like, the question is too, like, these things are, like right now, these things are generating a lot of traffic, but we're also absolutely seeing traffic come off 95 because they're just being routed through town. And that's sort of more the LTA's problem of like enforcing some of these traffic things. Like that intersection at Corbin that I have to drive through about 1,000 times a day, and I'm always coming up Corbin trying to make a left onto the Post Road to go to like Whole Foods, to come here, to do anything. People block that box relentlessly. I've never seen a police officer there just handing out $100 tickets to every single person, which would be great, because if they did that every weekend.
Yeah, my office is right across.
You would get 1 million people getting tickets, but they don't do it.
But I think, Amy, just a thought would be, in the POCD, we should have a concrete provision that we believe an analysis of traffic should be done by the end of 2027.
Or we could say at the completion of Corbin District, maybe at the completion of
I really feel
Federal.
strongly that we need to understand and have real data of where we are how are we digesting all of these things we've been through?
Well, I think that fits into the sort of the stress test, capacity analysis, right?
All right, so that's for that, okay.
I think that would be, you know, we could certainly say, this is something we should do, and we can go to the RTM in 2 years, or go to Board of Finance and say, give us some money to look at this stuff, because people are pissed.
Yeah, well, we have enough time, we can build it into the budget.
There you go.
Can't you, Jeremy?
Of course.
Nothing to that.
Get some road strips out there. Yeah, so. All right, well, on that note, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Jamie makes a motion, Amy makes a second. All those in favor?
Yeah.
4-0.
Thank you very
It
much.
is 9:43.